to go. The only thing we need is some subjects for conversation. Let's find out, before we do all of that, who we've got around the table. So, and this can also do a little bit of a sound check as well. So I'm going to start off on mic 5. Let me just hang on. Let me just hit the... let's find out who we've got on mic 5. That's you. Tell us your name.
I'm Gonzo.
Gonzo. Welcome. And who else have we got on mic 5?
I'm Margot.
Margot, welcome. I've entered the waiting room here on Zoom, which is a bit weird. That is weird. Anyway, I'm entering my own waiting room of my own mind. Anyway, who have we got on that computer? Let's just have a shout. And the cheap seats at the back. We've not got the roaming mic set up just yet, so we need to find the batteries. And hopefully we've got nobody on the blind spot table, on table 2. But who have we got on table 3, which is also coincidentally mic 3? Tell us your names.
Elam.
And I'm Ian.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
And who have we got? Somewhat confusingly on table 2.
We've got Larice on table 2.
Okay, nothing confusing about you, Larice. Welcome, Larice.
Never.
It's more, I'm living in a land of confusion. This is what happens when you spend all day erecting a fish tank. A fish tank's gone now.
I'll see you seasick.
Lost the fish. Anyway, the whole point of Talkaoke is up to you to decide what you want to talk about. I don't know if anyone's got anything they want to kick off with, any thoughts, comments, observations, anything at all. I just want to say as well, hello, internet audience. Just like, if you've got anything, I have actually got Facebook Live running now as well, so I'll see your comments. Has anyone got anything they want to kick off with?
Yeah, actually. No.
Yeah.
Welcome.
No, I just said happy Thanksgiving.
Oh,
Okay. Happy Thanksgiving. So it's happy Thanksgiving to the Americans. Okay. Any Americans here today? I take that as a no. They're all probably eating turkey, I suppose, and doing their sort of.
So it's on tonight then. The happy Thanksgiving tonight.
Bang on tonight. Yes.
Turkey has been forgiven, or what was that?
Oh yeah.
I remember having this conversation last year, actually.
Because we always do it the last Thursday of the month.
Around the Talkaoke table.
So we always kind of align with Thanksgiving, I suppose, don't we?
Yeah. Is it still cool to celebrate Thanksgiving, That's the question. But one thing I do know is that, whenever I go to this, for months, I've been looking for the blue flavored Doritos. I'm currently eating the orange tangy flavored Doritos.
Okay.
And there just doesn't seem to be any of the original flavored Doritos left.
They're the original flavor, the blue flavor.
The blue one. Like I go into the supermarket and the shops and I just can't seem to find the blue one. So I suppose, they won't be eating the original flavored Doritos. Maybe it's a supply issue.
Is it a supply chain issue? I mean, we normally drink Budvar lager also, but tonight we're drinking Co-op L lager. And I do apologize to the participants here today. Also, we want to point out there is wine as well, if anyone wants wine. And we have even got glasses here, real glass. We've got some, fantastic. But let's just go head on with this. Supply chain issues. Has anyone else had, not been able to get the products that they wanted in the supermarket at the moment? Is it just the blue Doritos? Anyone else been facing similar? Go on, Margot.
I haven't really been facing anything because I rarely ever go shopping. But I've got 2 points. One, I think there's a supply chain issue with Polish builders currently. That's one thing that apparently is happening. And the second one's like, Ellen, you asked whether it's cool to celebrate Thanksgiving. I feel like there's so many kind of traditional things that used to be cool to do, like, I don't know, eating meat or, celebrate Thanksgiving. In current in a world where everyone's so woke and there's so many kind of things being redefined, it's not okay to do lots of things. So
Mm.
like everyone's just like being censored all the time, or like has to tread very carefully.
Mm.
You know what? Yeah, I think we're just in a time of like questioning.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I
Yeah.
feel like in every single way,
Yeah.
everyone's
Like,
questioning everything.
why are there no blue
Why?
Doritos?
You know? Yeah.
Why are we celebrating
Exactly. That's what.
genocidal
Yeah.
occupation of a foreign land?
Yeah, and I think it will, even when it comes to gender, what we were talking about earlier, you
Yeah.
know, people transitioning, I think everyone's kind of working out
Yeah.
just, you know, different things. So yeah, I think in a couple of years, a couple of decades, it will
Will be more
smoothing
sorted.
itself out.
I mean, will we be looking back on this thing and saying, oh, why were they getting so kind of like confused or sort of worked up about things like gender or things like, do we celebrate Thanksgiving? Do we not? Do we get upset about not having any blue Doritos, or do we kind of move on from that? Well, I mean, go on, Bella, go on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think we will be in future because we'll all be living in the metaverse and able to switch on genders and identities throughout the day.
Mm. I mean, would you want to do that? Would you switch gender during the day? And what gender would go with what particular part of the day?
That's a good question. Oh, I'll definitely be a male if I was running for a leadership position.
Right. Right. So male is more the work time male.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But surely that's just, you're just pandering to what's already there instead of being an active, vibrant, intelligent woman, as I know you are. You want to be a man to fit in. That's what happened with Margaret Thatcher. He was more of a man than anyone else in her cabinet.
Okay, so sorry about that, Victor. Go on, Louise, you jump in there.
I have a question. What is a metaverse?
What's a metaverse? Okay, come on, Bella, you have to explain. What is this metaverse?
I've
that we're
heard it
going
a
on
few
about?
times.
Yeah, I mean, the Facebook conversion launch date took, I mean, it was like a 6-hour event, wasn't it? So we announce and explain metaverse because we don't have 6 hours. I mean, the way I see it is basically we've got virtual reality, we've got augmented reality. The metaverse is basically, right now it's online, but it's a virtual world where we can just go in as our digital identity, but that identity we can create. And it's just another world. It's not something that we're physically in this body living.
Right.
It's like another layer
So,
of
yeah.
reality with more sort of like digital online presence, activities, relationships.
If we're talking
Thank
about
you.
other worlds that you could go into and be
Yeah.
other people, to me that's 6 points of lager.
Okay, so your metaverse is like a lagerverse.
Yeah.
Okay, we might address the lagerverse issue, but Ellen's got a point as well.
I think I like this idea where you can go into another world and like be someone else and explore a different side of yourself. In fact, I remember a couple of years ago at a sci-fi festival, there was someone sitting around the table who was working on this. So interesting to kind of hear it, you know, coming to fruition, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think following on from what Bella said, I do think if I had a choice, I would definitely be a man. I think it's just so much easier. It's just so much easier. Yeah.
What is easier about being a man?
Just no sexual.
That's a big one.
Just navigating the world. I
Yeah.
think it's just easier it's so much easier being a man. People respect you automatically. You get a bit more respect. You looked at it in
You're
a
kind of
different
selling
way.
it to me, I have to say.
You know, you just looked at it
Yeah.
a bit more. You don't have to prove yourself in any
Yeah.
way, you know.
Okay, so
It's just easier.
It's
and
easier
also,
being a
You just
man.
have more options, I think. You just have so much more options.
okay, go on, Louise.
You don't have to give birth either.
There is one con though. No free drinks.
I don't get free drinks at all.
You don't get free drinks.
No.
Okay, well,
This is
you've
true.
got, certainly, have a drink on me. Okay, so this is interesting. So actually, it's just more kind of handy being a man. I want to spread this out.
Just,
So I know
just
you-
one quick, just in
Yeah, go.
response to-
Yeah.
although as a woman you get free drinks.
Is it really worth the free drinks? It
You
doesn't
get
sound
free
like
drinks.
it's
We
worth
get
it.
on average you get paid less than men anyway. So being a man, you're going to get paid more anyway on average.
that-
So
actually, that's drinks
it
money
balances
that you
itself
can
out. And I
spend.
think I'd rather get paid more money. You know
so
what I
it's
mean?
almost like reparations for women then. So they should pay for drinks and food because it's reparations for the gender pay gap.
There you go. There you
Okay.
go.
Let's spread this out. Okay, so it's obviously kind of better to be a man in terms of the economy, even though you might be spending a bit more on drinks, you're earning more. Are you earning more than the average woman, Gonzo? Is it good to be a man? How does it feel to be?
I think it's good to be a woman because women are
Yeah.
kind of generally smarter and and have more, can learn a little bit better than men
Yeah.
do. And
How come they haven't learned to earn more money?
the money is a problem, but that's
If they're cleverer, they should earn more money, shouldn't they?
yeah, but it's
Yeah.
it doesn't work like that.
We're making
no.
those decisions on who should get paid what on men. So the
Right.
system is already built
Yeah.
with guys at the top, so we can't get high to this. Position.
Okay.
What about the women that are?
Hang on, Gonzo. Please don't talk over Laura.
The thing is, you're
Yeah.
asking, like, why are we not getting more money if we are so much smarter?
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree, but because the whole system from the beginning
Was not evened out of both sides.
Right.
It doesn't matter if we are smarter.
You can be as smart as you want, basically.
Yeah, because by just being a woman, we are already put in the box a little bit below men.
Okay. Go on, Ellen.
And the thing is, it's all in a good feeling that women are smarter, but then how would you feel if you are, you have a smarter woman who is managing you, or you have to encounter and work with a smarter woman? What impact will that have on, your ego? Like, I don't know. I just think a lot of people are not comfortable with a woman who might be smarter than them. I don't know.
So when you say people, are you talking about particular people that are not comfortable with smart women?
I'm just talking about people.
Yeah.
I've just seen it in the workplace where maybe a woman is,
Yeah.
she might be a boss. She knows what
Yeah.
she's doing. She does it very well. Both men and women don't really take how people perceive that woman is very different to a man who was in that same
Right.
role. I just experienced that.
So a smarter woman has a tougher
I
time.
witnessed that myself.
Yeah. Okay.
People were not very receptive to
Yeah.
her. So,
The thing is that
Yeah.
if you look at the company, and then most of the time you have only let's say few women that are amazing at what they are doing, and they worked very, very hard to be on the positions that they have. Well, the majority of men in the same company, they will be around average because they don't have to work as hard to get to this position, which is not fair.
Well, there was a
Good.
study recently, wasn't it? And it was like mediocre men or something.
Yeah. I think I read that too.
Mediocre men.
Yeah, it was literally a scientific study, and it said that at the same level, you're just surrounded by at mid-level, you're just surrounded by loads of mediocre.
So maybe this is why Gonzo also said about women being smarter. It's not necessarily that women are smarter, but actually you see that very ambitious and smart women who go to the top, because there's not really a mediocre, CEO that's female. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of mediocre white male CEOs.
Okay.
We can get deeper into that.
So what I'm picking up, it's not necessarily that women are smarter. It's actually men are more stupid, more mediocre, basically. Men are mediocre. But does that make the man an ideal sort of persona to inhabit as a workplace person? Because of that mediocrity, in a way, that you're then you're not kind of exposing yourself. Hence the kind of starting point for all this, that if you would change genders during the day, your working persona would be male.
I've got a question actually.
Yeah.
So we were talking a bit before about intellect and kind of discussing whether intellect has got to do with the gender pay gap. But what about solidarity? Has solidarity got anything to do with it? And men and women and the differences in solidarity? Has solidarity got anything to do with it?
Oh, who's got
men and women?
Who's got their audio on Facebook?
Has solidarity got anything to do with it?
Oh, No, it's not me.
Got it.
For sure.
When you say solidarity, what do you mean?
I would argue that men are more close knit. They have more.
So they've got a bit more solidarity, yeah.
More solidarity, more. They stick together more. I would say women a lot of the time there's a lot of maybe internalized misogyny. So maybe that could potentially be a reason why, gender pay gap.
Say a bit more about this internalized misogyny. What is that?
Just misogyny directed towards oneself as a woman, basically.
Right.
When you kind of, I don't know, appease men or do sexist things. Yeah.
Can you give us an example?
I don't know. Women should stay in the kitchen, and I say that as a woman. That would be
Right,
internalized
okay.
misogyny.
I'm one of the few men that suffer from internal misogyny.
Right.
So
Internalized misogyny.
I'm half the woman I should be.
Right. Okay. I mean, is part of that personality of women not being almost like not being satisfied or being very self-critical? Then perhaps is there a self-critical element to this that's possibly counterproductive? Go on, Bella.
Yeah, no, I think they are. And I think the solidarity point is an interesting one. Again, I think that goes back to historical systems and stuff, like women stay at home, men go out and hunt in groups. Back in the day, men go out to work. Individually, just like scrolling through. I don't think that's healthy or great.
Right.
But
Okay. So there's not there. Women tend to stay at home and not be there either as a group or kind of actually being sort of present in public.
Yeah. Women don't go golf.
I also think. Sorry.
Yeah. Good.
I also think men protect each other more. I don't think women protect other women as much as men protect other men. But yeah. That's just a point.
The male herd instinct.
Yeah. I mean, do you agree? Is there a male herd instinct?
I've heard it said. I don't know that it exists, but I've heard people talk about it.
Yeah.
I have a.
Go on. Yeah.
We were talking about this with Margot the other day, and she mentioned that. I asked, how are you raised when you're a girl? Are you raised like to be aware of the men, to kind of be wary and from the early age, girls kind of see other men looking at them. So that's already a thing of kind of stress that is a barrier sort of that is kind of from a very early age there. As a kind of safeguard. So, and what was the other part? Oh yeah, because for instance, sometimes when I walk in the street, I see a girl walking in front of me, and if I kind of go kind of some steps behind her, I would feel that she's kind of in a bit of an unease.
Yeah.
And I started to feel kind of, oh my God, should I kind of take a few steps back? Should I kind of? And it's this intricate sort of ballet of.
Okay, so you're sort of feeling that.
Like I don't like have any threats. Like I'm not yet, but it's. In general, there is always, like for a girl, there's always a threat from a man.
Yeah, I mean, this is how one of the things that came up, and one of the benefits of being a man is this: you're not exposed to sexual harassment. And to be honest, I mean, I'm not really supposed to say what I think, but from my perspective, I didn't really sort of thought about that issue that much until the whole Me Too thing came up, and you just realize what a big edifice this problem is. But that kind of fear of violence or of harassment seems to be like a persistent, ongoing thing. Go on, Ellen.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because, like Bonzo was saying, like, you know, if you slow down when you feel like, oh, that person noticed me, you know, you may also end up looking a bit strange as well. But yeah, it's just such a strange thing, isn't it? I mean, yeah, like what you said, I remember walking to school as a child in my school uniform. And, you know, there were creepy people creepy, you know, men
That's just the tip of the iceberg.
That would say things and look at you. So from a young age, you know, to kind of hide your body, you know, when you become a teenager, you know, like, oh, okay, I need to hide myself. And, you know, so, yeah, I mean, from a child, you know, to be wary of men. But also, I guess in society, men are generally a bit more like are more stronger than, you know, women in general, and boys are more stronger than girls. So in a way, you have to kind of protect yourself in a way. I don't know.
So you've got more kind of defense-minded.
Yeah. You need to kind of
posture,
you know,
or outlook.
because
Yeah.
you are a bit weaker.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know what are your thoughts then on like now? And I do think it's more of a recent movement in the name of maybe like female empowerment, or in the name of like getting that confidence back in terms of like we shouldn't have to hide our body. What's the other extreme of that? Flaunting it, right? And then you've got like Cardi B with like the Whap song, right? And they're like flaunting it out and about and like proud of it, and like just kind of shifting the narrative completely the opposite way in terms of like women talking about control over like sexual presentation, or just even the act of sex in general, because obviously we've been having years and years of men kind of singing and rapping about those things. So I guess it's that's another extreme, and that's something coming through now. And I just don't know whether that is a good or a bad influence, you know, like
I mean, well, how do you feel about Cardi B?
I think it's disturbing when it goes through TikTok, and then you've got like the underage girls who are not of the legal age to have sex, pretending or acting and making those dance moves in that sexualized way. I think that's disturbing.
Women, young girls these days are incredibly. There's a pressure to sexualize young women from an early age, by the media. I don't know where it comes from, but when I was a kid, my sisters, you know, they weren't women till they were in their 20s. That was the norm, you know. Nowadays it's kind of, it's different. There's that pressure to grow up and become somewhat of a stereotype of, you know, women do this and women do that. It could also be that young people want to be older. I don't know.
I just want to say, just while, just because I've just noticed we've got a new face online, Jacob. So if you want a moment right now, we sort of started talking about, basically we started talking about, what were we talking about? We were talking about the metaverse, and Bella was saying that you could change your persona on a daily basis, and going to work she would be a man, and then we didn't find out what kind of gender she would be later on in the day, but it's just kind of like led to this thing about how things are different from women and men, and now we sort of moved on to this question about the kind of threat of the threat of violence, and also but this question about sexual self-expression, and are young girls kind of discovering their sense of self-expression? Are they being pressured into, you know, being like Cardi B with her Whap song? So that's where we are right now. Go on, Ellen.
Yeah, you know, I wonder, following on from what you were saying, I wonder, is the sexualization of young girls' children, is it new? You know, because I mean, well-known people, you know, who I'm sure we've heard of, had sexual relations with teenagers. You know, somebody from the Rolling Stones had a relationship with a 13-year-old, and that was seen as normal then. So I wonder, is it new, you know, or is it just that we're kind of like seeing it more now, where we're able to see young children kind of act in a sexual way, you know? Because I mean, I know people whose parents,
more visible now?
You know, one was 13, the other one was 20 something when they got together. So, you know, I just wonder, is this new? Is it an issue where children are seen as sexual objects from you know, girls? So is it a thing where girls are seen as sexual? Thing. Yeah, because I think it's just going back a long time ago, girls are seen as sexual objects. Right. Just in general.
What's that book?
And it's uncomfortable, but
that's got like those in different movies. It's a girl's name. It's a famous book. And then
Oh,
Yes, Lolita.
Lolita.
And it's about that.
And
Okay.
just
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
just one last thing, actually. There's
Yeah.
that famous artist. He went to one of the Pacific Islands. What's his name? Not Suzanne. Yeah,
Oh,
him.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
look, I went into Pull and Bear high street shop recently, and I saw one of the images, one of his paintings, which depicts a naked 13-year-old
Yeah.
on the t-shirt. And I thought to myself, wow, now everyone knows him, he's celebrated, but at the same time, the things he said about those people back then were absolutely terrible. He saw them as sexual objects,
Yeah.
and they were children.
And when was Go Down?
When was Go? I don't know. I'll be honest.
Okay,
Gonzo,
you
so-
wanted to jump in there, and I think Margaret, you had a point as
So
well.
I think
yeah.
one of the things that kind of amplifies it are the social networks and how they are built with all the algorithms, and
Yeah.
basically you just
Yeah.
you are pressured to do anything that would give you more likes and more views.
Yeah.
And apparently whatever Cardi B is doing is that.
Yeah. So there's a bit of a pressure just to get more likes and more views.
Yeah, but that's built
Yeah.
into the social network.
I mean,
algorithm.
I mean, would you agree with Ellen that this thing's always been around? Is that
I think
exaggerated?
yes, it's been
Yeah.
there, but it's been like
Mm.
in a sort of in a level
Yeah.
or in a
Okay. We've just got a couple of
Different
new faces that have moved in. I just want to point out there are drinks and snacks available for you. If this is your first time on Talkaoke, don't be alarmed. People do this. This is a very normal activity for Aberfeldy Street. This is just what people do here. We've got Gonzo, we've got Bella, we've got Laura, we've got Larice on the snacks. We've got Ian and Ellen. My name's Mikey. Just tell us your names into the mic there.
I'm Joseph.
Joseph and Anthony, welcome. And as I said, you're very welcome to help yourself to drinks and snacks. At the moment, it's quite a sort of, we started off talking about the metaverse and Bella's point that if she was going to be in the metaverse during the day, in the working day, she would be a man because men get treated better. And then we investigated that a lot more. We started talking about sexual harassment, but also how, especially young girls, actually present themselves. Are they being forced by social media into sexualizing themselves, or is it just their own self-expression? And is this a new thing, or is it actually an eternal thing? And Ellen mentioned Gauguin painting 13-year-old Tahitian girls, and that's now on a T-shirt. Was that what you said? It's on a T-shirt? Yeah, it's on a T-shirt in the high street. So, is it a new thing? Is it not? This is what we're talking about. Are young girls at that age under pressure to kind of do this, or is it just part of their natural growing up and development? Ian.
Thank you. Now, just as a resident history Ricardian thing, the mother of Henry VII was actually gave birth to him when she was 12.
Whoa.
And it basically ruined her. She never had children again.
Right.
But she was fixated on the one son who later went on to be Henry VII. What I'm trying to illustrate is that abuse of that kind has been around. I don't think young women are sexualizing themselves. I think at the very most you can say about that is that they're kind of allowing the media to influence this, or in that case, men to influence the way they should look and want to conform. I don't think there's a natural urge to become a particular type of person at a certain age. I think they conform to the media, and I think that's wrong. I think that children should be able to grow up at their own speed.
Okay.
Of both genders.
So you're saying pressure from the media.
Yeah.
Basically, we started talking. Was there a point? Was there a point online? I don't know. I heard a sort of whisper come from somewhere. Okay, Margot.
I just want, it's a funny one, particularly with empowerment. I mean, we do a lot of gigs with young people, and thank you for thank you in inverted commas for bringing up the Whap song, Bella, because some young girls that we speak to, they say like, oh yeah, she's so empowered. Empowerment is the word I've got a problem with, because empowered has now become a buzzword that people use, but what it actually means is men are gross. I'm going to be even more gross. I'm going to be equally as gross. Are you offended? Well, then it's your problem because I'm so empowered. And to me, it's just like some kind of issue with like what that word starts to mean.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I mean, it is true.
I'm fine not to be empowered. If this is what empowerment looks like.
And it is a common actual thing to talk about on Talkaoke, is amongst young girls especially. They love talking about WAP song. They absolutely love it. But is it just because they, you know, think it's kind of naughty? Is it empowerment or is it just gross, as Margot says? Guys, if you want to join in, I don't know if you're men here with the Cardi B WAP song. There's a glint of recognition from Joseph, but I don't think Anthony knows what we're talking about.
No, I think it's some this generation.
Yeah. But I don't know if that's
a good thing.
Yeah, I think you kind of like dodged a bullet there, to be honest. But I don't know if we can we explain it? How do you explain this thing, this phenomenon?
I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I would say Google it.
Google it. Google it when you're back home, maybe. Yeah. It's basically quite an explicit song. About
I mean, it's like basically the issue of music right now. Sorry, but like the issue of music is like it's not poetic. It's just rhythm. It's just rhythm. It's just the message is nothing really big. It's just be really rich, fuck loads of people, look beautiful. That's all you have to do. And if you've got that and a decent beat, you're making music. You're a musician now. There's a whole music industry, but I would argue it's not a music industry. It's some kind of like cheap sensation industry, really, to the rhythm.
So you're not that into it.
I'm not really into music. I love music.
You love music, but not necessarily Cardi B or other rap stuff.
I'm into it ironically.
Ironically, okay. Well,
all
right. Yeah, okay. Go on, Ellen.
Oh, I just wonder if you could just pass my phone just there next to you, Gonzo. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
Lovely. Yes, I do actually. I do have a point to make. Thank you very much. My point is that Adele said that she's making meaningful music. She's making music not for the TikTok generation, but the 30-something-year-olds. Music that has meaning, music that speaks about therapy. So I guess, hey, there's some people out there, you know, making some meaningful stuff. And I am listening to someone right now who I'm like, wow, his music's got so much meaning. I think his name is Sam Felder or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, Sam Fender, his music has meaning. So I think there's people out there, you know, even in hip hop music as well. But what gets promoted is the ones that's going to work on TikTok and stuff.
Okay, so there is other more deeper music out there, like Sam Fender. I don't know if you remember Sam Fender? Sam Fender? No. Do you know Sam Fender?
No.
Okay. Go on in.
I have to say I haven't got any of the musical reference tonight because I'm just too bloody old. But I would say that when the Rolling Stones released "Let's Spend the Night Together," that caused a moral outrage, and I think that music just should reflect a younger generation. But now that generation has been, swamped with media images of what we should be and what we should like and the kind of way that a man behaves or a woman behaves, you know, and instead of music kind of reflecting it, it's now setting the agenda.
Okay, so is it setting or reflecting the agenda? I mean, do people, let's have a show of hands, who actually follows what's happening in music current musical trends? Yeah, okay, Ellen, Maurice, maybe. That's it, really.
Listen to the radio, there's awards, there's Grammys, there's logos or whatever, there's always. So I think you've got a general awareness if you listen to the radio and read about these.
Yeah. Have you got a favourite musician, Bella?
It's very depending on mood and situation, to be honest with you. But then actually scarily beyond that, what I'm learning or what's going on now is I'm sure people are aware of is that obviously with our like algorithms and phones, they will then know what mood we're in, depending on what song we pick, and we'll probably stick to. And yeah, so that's another
Right.
way that
Okay.
yeah.
So
Yeah, well, it finds me. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
Spotify's always finding
are you're on Spotify then?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's, yeah, I mean, my algorithm's amazing.
You love your algorithm. Have you heard any good tracks recently? You thought,
Well, I recently discovered Sharon Van Etten, who I
Yeah,
come
yeah.
across the bunch, and
Yeah.
she's amazing. Yeah, but I don't know how that's profiled.
yeah.
Spotify knows that I'm gonna like that, but it
So
often
somehow,
does seem to know what I like.
somehow Spotify has worked out that you're going to like Sharon Van Etten. Okay, I like Sharon Van Etten. That's okay. So, yeah,
No,
yeah.
just one of that actually,
Yeah.
that phrase or just that statement, like, I love my algorithms, or you're like, great, it gets me, I support it, or you're enjoying it, it's spurting out. Actually, I did have a recent experience during the half marathon, and I just had it on shuffle on my playlist. And I kid you not, but honestly, like moments where I slowed down and needed the most upbeat, it would play like Rocky and like Eye of the Tiger, I swear to God, and I was just like, yeah, and that kept me going. And then the last stretch, the last corner, it clicked on like Nero and drum and bass just to get me like over that last 100 meters. Like the algorithm played that soundtrack for that half marathon like to a T, and I didn't know any better. So that was love,
Yeah,
I
wow.
do not know.
But I mean, do you think that's good, or do you think that's kind of a bit spooky?
Depends on we're on the same side, like
Yeah.
there's no why say no to extra support, and best friend always looking after your back.
Okay.
I think that's actually a very, very interesting point that you raised about the whole idea of the technology monitoring us, but technology doing it when it's on our side. Like, I'm sure that most of us have probably had an experience where, I don't know, you're chatting about your hobby or something, or you're on the phone with one of your friends, and then suddenly, like within the day, you'll sort of check on the internet and see that there's a targeted ad for you, and then you're weirded out a little bit. But at the same time, I mean, at the moment, the ultimate end goal of the targeted ad program isn't to get you to buy things you're not interested in. It's just to show you things you are genuinely interested in buying. Like, it's not trying to change your opinion. It's just trying to, I mean, have you? I'm not a supporter of it. Like, I still think it's a bad idea. But, have you ever clicked on something that you've gone, oh, that's quite useful? Yeah, of course. And like you'll see adverts that sort of like you're somewhat interested in, and you go, oh, that's an interesting product, and you might check it out, or you might just shrug it off. But or it might actually be something you've actually just bought already. Yeah, yeah, of course. Like, in which case, the advert is completely. But the point is very much that it's still in its infancy, and through sort of like decades of use, as I said, the end goal of these corporate entities is to have it perfectly where every single ad you'll see is an ad that you will genuinely want to purchase. And of course, the problem is when that crosses the line into being sort of like, would it be sound bites? Sorry, yeah, it's when it crosses the line. That was a River Thames. There was a boat going. Yes, yeah, we're very close to the Thames here. Go on, Louise.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, you might want to buy something, but do you need to buy it? I think that's a problem. I could be on, I don't know, a shop looking for shoes. I want to treat myself. And I think, actually, wait a minute, no, Louise, save money. And then I'm getting adverts all the time for that same shoe. So it can be enticing you into buying things that you don't actually need and you want, but it's not actually good for you financially or mentally or whatever in the long run.
I mean,
and
is it leading to us buying more stuff or stuff we don't actually need? Or is it that clever, as Joseph says, that maybe it's we end up buying stuff that we do need, and we buy less crap that we need?
I think it depends, and I think it's similar to what Bella said. I think, when it's a kind of about music and stuff, there's no harm in listening to a new song, but when you start getting into like purchases, and then there's AI and machine learning in banks and applying for loans and stuff like that, and there's all biases in that and all these kind of things, that's when it gets a bit sticky. So, yeah.
Okay, so it can be go a bit too far. Go on, Ellen.
Yeah, I mean, Black Friday is coming up tomorrow, so I'm sure there will be a lot of people spending that. Hey, maybe they wouldn't have, if it wasn't Black Friday. But on the point of the algorithm, listen to the language that people use to describe the algorithm. The algorithm's on my side, and I think about my algorithm on TikTok and how it makes me laugh. It makes me feel good. It really.
How does it belong
it's
to you?
It's just the videos that it throws my way. If I'm not feeling good, I'll go on TikTok and I'll laugh and I'll feel good again. So I'm thinking, actually, the algorithm, it could be filling a void in society right now. There's an epidemic of loneliness. A lot of people are lonely. And maybe the algorithm, it can be our friend, it can, it's going to feed us, if we're hungry, it will know that. It will send us some Uber adverts and Deliveroo adverts.
I just want to say, if there's any lonely people out there, come and join Talkaoke. You will be no longer lonely.
Exactly. So, maybe it's not such a bad thing, the algorithm.
We're going to learn to love the algorithms, what I'm picking up from it. Joseph, I think that's behind the screen,
Just going back to Louise. What you talked about sort of buying too much, essentially, right? Or it's the kind of thing where you don't really need to purchase this, you just tricked into wanting it, right? So I think that's a very, very, very valid point as well. And it's a big danger because obviously really like post-war, we've just become increasingly materialistic and consumerist, right? And the whole social contract and citizenship is based upon like purchasing and paying tax on that. And I mean, like that isn't really something we can change without sort of, I don't know, having a massive boom in ideological thinking or whatever. But I think there is the danger of the, with the algorithms controlled by profit-seeking corporations, of course, they're always going to be pushing to get, their profits as well. Like even with sort of like influencers and stuff on TikTok and the creators of this content, where it's ultimately supporting a system of you being like advertised to. And obviously that advertising can be extremely obvious or extremely subtle, but it's still advertising that's still trying to change your mind.
But I mean, could we then advertise things like, do we have to advertise products? Could it be other stuff that are advertised?
Well, of course, in theory.
If the algorithm's really out for us, maybe it should be advertising non-material.
Sure, but how exactly is that going to work in practice? Like our government's going to do it? In that case, it's just basic propaganda. Are charities going to do it? Well, how is that going to sort of work? They're going to need a tremendous amount of funding to compete with corporations, going after the same sort of slots, basically.
Okay, I'm just going to, I know, Bella, you've got your hand up behind, but I just want to welcome David. At the moment, we sort of started talking about the metaverse, and then we went on to this whole thing about, sorry, Bella, I'm going to mention it again, how Bella was saying for the metaverse, for my working moments, I'm going to be a man because it's kind of easier. And we talked about lots of things about sexual inequality, gender inequality, that we call it these days. Talked a little bit about female empowerment. We talked about Cardi B, the Whap song, but then we started talking about algorithms and how algorithms are kind of pushing one thing or another. And are they pushing our agenda actually? And are they helping us? For Anthony, he's connected with Sharon Van Etten thanks to the Spotify algorithm. Ellen's connected with a lot of humorous TikTok videos. So it's helping us, but we're very mistrustful of it. And is it actually helping the planet as well? Is it just making us buy more shit? That's where we are basically right now. And I think, Bella, you had a point, didn't you?
Yeah, I think so. Just like moving on from, we're taking that point further about algorithms and offering things up that they think we might be interested in, and then expanding on that point about epidemic of loneliness. There are these sort of chatbots being used for therapy and online therapy and counselling. I don't know how many people in this room have watched the movie Her, which actually came out many years ago, but it's actually even more relevant now with Joaquin Phoenix. It's basically like a Siri, and it's all encompassing, and it's got this like real human relationship with this ever-growing learning machine AI personality. So I just wondered if anyone who's watched that movie Her, knowing that we are in reality right now in an epidemic of loneliness, how comfortable are we with allowing or getting ourselves into this sort of relationship of communication and buddying up with an AI.
I mean, can you be friends with a computer? Does it have to be a human being? Are you friends with your operating system? No.
I don't have like that.
Yeah, but I mean, would you do like computer counseling, or would you want
I
to?
think the chatbot was smart enough, because obviously the benefit of that is it's 24/7, right? And there's a big, use case for that, because you can't time all emergency situations. When someone is really at the critical moment, they receive someone at 2 a.m. To have someone on the other end of the call, it would be great to have a fully functioning and working, AI chatbot that can just feel like
That always knows what to say.
Yeah, like someone's there, they know what to say, and it could save lives.
Okay, so it could save lives. It could actually be a very useful thing. How do people feel about robot counselors? Go on, Ian.
No, I know that every time I phone utilities, they always say that the call is very important to them, and that makes me feel a lot better, I have to say. So but then again, they say now listen to an hour of music before we actually get back to you, and then the kind of feeling ebbs.
It sort of undermines that sense.
You feel you belong, you feel you've got a friend in the gas board, but no, they blow you out quite literally. Yeah, I mean, they don't say that to me. My call's important. The call's important. So it must be just you that the call's important to. Can I ask that when you have a machine that kind of suggests things to you that you might like, are you not in danger of becoming in a bubble of things that have been prescribed to you? I mean, I think all the major musical genres of our time when they were new were totally different to what was around at the time, and probably wouldn't make it onto the playlist. I mean, in the 70s or the 80s, if you was into glam rock, you probably would never have discovered punk. Right. So in a way, it saves you from doing your research. Okay, well, we've got a couple of new faces to the table. Basically, this is Talkaoke, pop in talk show. Welcome. It's a kind of free-form talk show. At the moment, we started off talking about the Metaverse. And sorry, Bella, we mentioned it again for about the 10th time. Bella said if she was in the Metaverse during the day, she would be a man, because life would be easier at work, in the workplace, and you can be more mediocre as a man. She didn't say that, but that was the sense she got from everybody around. And then we started talking about gender inequality. Then we started talking about kind of female safety, and then we started talking about female empowerment. And there's a touch point of the Cardi B WAP song. I don't know if you know that one. Is it a good thing? Is it empowerment? Is it exploitation? Then we started talking about algorithms, and that's what we're talking about now. Do you trust your algorithm? Anthony discovered Sharon Van Etten through the Spotify algorithm, which I think is a great thing. And Ellen discovered TikTok videos that put her in a better mood. Is the algorithm on our side, or is it just trying to get us to buy useless crap? And then what we're talking about most recently, we're talking about, what's that? Oh yeah, that's the thing, that actually now you've got a situation where even my job is going to be done by a computer. There's going to be a robot mic in the middle, kind of just like swiveling around, and it's always going to know what to say. It's always going to be able to say the right things. The gags will be in the database straight off. So, will that be better to have a robot mic here in the middle? Bella says, well, actually, and this is probably relevant to you, Loretta, that you can just call at 2 o'clock in the morning and they will be awake and ready to talk. So that's the advantage of the robot counselor or robot talk show host, whatever. And that's where we are right now. So let's just get some names. So what's your names over here?
Rashna.
And
my name is Zara.
Zara, welcome. Just pitch in whenever you want. We've got drinks and snacks over there. If you're up for it, anything, just grab anything there. We went heavy on the snacks. And who have we got over here? Loretta, we knew that. That's where we are. And maybe we should go to the people online. David, have you got anything you want to say about this? Any thoughts about any of this chat? You've been on for a while now.
I was at the Pixel festivals this weekend. It was a very nice thing, and basically, so it's a digital art and a lot of coding and a lot of everything. And but basically, the IA is a big question because one of the Lumen's Prize winner basically had the things about the fake IA and basically all the surveillance camera and basically how they can trace you throughout your whole journey. So all your privacy is really compromised. So basically, we live in a society where basically, if you don't do nothing, you got no risk. But basically, you give your liberty out away. You give your liberty just right away. Because anytime you get into like central London, for instance, they know, they can pinpoint you and they know exactly what you're doing. Okay. So there is a big campaign in France to stop, to try to stop it.
Well, I mean,
it's very hard.
What people are saying here is that actually that AI can be benevolent. So say you're out in Oxford Street looking for a pair of shoes, it's going to know who you are, but it's going to know the exact right shoe shop for you to go to.
Yeah, definitely. It's already happening. I've been doing some search recently, and for like a coffee flask, and now I got advertisement for coffee flask on my Facebook feed. Yeah. So basically, it is there. So basically, when you accept all the cookies and when you accept everything, and basically it's like driving you there.
You accept cookies?
I do accept, because I cannot be bothered to manage them.
Yeah. I mean, cookies there if people are willing to accept it. We've got them on offer, but there's no infringement of privacy. That you won't be tracked by these cookies. They're just simple cookies over there. Okay, so where do we want to go with this conversation? Are we worried, like David is, about privacy? Are we worried about the computer knowing too much, or is it actually good that the computer knows all these things?
But when you come to your health, when you come to basically passing on your information from health system to health system, do you really want to know? Do you really want all health professionals to know your whole medical history, or you only want them to know a limited amount of your history? Do you want them to know that you're gay? Do you want them to know that you're transgender? Do you want them to know that you had like a psychotic episode and stuff like that? But basically, even if it's in the health system, those informations are for the moment freely within like the NHS digital things. There is a lot of things around that about like the privacy and basically how much information do you give away and you leave people know about your preferences and stuff like that.
Do we want people to know about our sexuality? Do we want people to know about our psychiatric orders or disorders? Do we want them to know about Zara, do you want to say, because you've not said anything, grab mic too.
I was going to say it's very scary for me because I go on TikTok, not often because I don't try and be on social media too often, but what I find really scary is when I'm talking about a very specific situation or something that happened in the day with my friend, and then I go on TikTok and then there'll be a video talking about that exact situation. Yeah. And I feel like it could be a very big coincidence. Yeah, it could be a very big coincidence, but I'm kind of under the assumption now that they found a way to somehow read my text. I don't know. It's more of the fear of the unknown. I don't know how much information they have on me.
And I mean, it's just computers. Does it matter if computers know what you've been talking about?
It may not matter, but I just feel like because you don't know, it's more the fact that I don't know what the information can kind of travel anywhere.
Yeah, we don't really know how these systems work.
Or where it goes.
Yeah, or how did, for example, Facebook know that I wanted some padded cycling leggings?
Very specific.
I mean, go on, Laura. Come closer. Come into the mic. We've got people on mic. Just want to say welcome to Mo. If you want to chip in here, I don't know if you heard that little summary that I gave to some of the other people. We're talking about the algorithm. People are talking about their own personal algorithms and how they like them. Especially Anthony discovered Sharon Van Etten. But I'm sorry, I won't go on about it. And that's what we're talking about at the moment. Or is it a bit scary? Do they know too much? That's the kind of thing we're talking about at the moment. Mo, were you going to say something on there?
I literally just got here, so I have no idea what you guys have been talking about. Is it about algorithms and TikToks and whatnot?
That's exactly it. So you just hang on in there. I'm sure it will come to you. As long as you can hear what we've got to say. Laura's just going to come in with a point here. So
I just wanted to drop a question. If anyone had this as well, when you talk about something to your friends, and then the next thing you notice, Facebook is showing you ad about it, but you've never actually researched it online, or is it just me?
Give us an example.
I was talking about going skiing with my friends for the winter, and then on the Facebook page, it will show me resorts in Alps to go to. Like, how is that possible despite the cookies?
They might be like a very high coincidence.
It's listening to you.
Yeah. Like, is it listening, or the algorithm knows you so well?
Is it
already?
just maths, or is it actually listening in? What were you saying, David? I missed that because I was doing.
It might be just a very, very coincidence.
Okay, look.
Basically, because you're in winter time, and basically you've been going on holidays booking holidays before and something like that. So basically, they might advertise you. They might target you for advertisement just to go on a holiday.
Mo says on the chat, when you give out permission to use your microphone, they use that to listen and provide you with the ads. So, are they listening in? Okay, so I mean, do we feel a bit scared about it? Do we? Stop that. Sorry, it's gone a bit long now. I've got the point. Got the point, haven't we? Are we? Close that door. It's freezing out there. Anyway, so I mean, are the apps actually listening? Go on, Joseph. Go on. What were you going to say?
Yeah. So I think a lot of stuff what we've been talking about in these past few minutes, especially with getting adverts for the apps and stuff. It comes back to the idea of always being shown stuff you're legitimately interested in. But I think before that, David rose in a sort of very significant idea of how medical information is shared, and this is where it's beginning to cross that line between being benevolent into being sort of actually harmful, and it puts you at a disadvantage, because although we're very, very lucky in this country to live in a system which sort of has a national health service, right, where something like private health insurance isn't a necessity at all, really. But say you're living in America and you essentially need health insurance, and if there is this record of the food you eat and your underlying health problems, or your sexuality, and things which increase the chances of you getting certain diseases and not getting other diseases, it gives the insurance companies a massive advantage as to whether they want to insure you or not, and it turns them into the beneficiary and you into the victim. Because and I mean, in the West, still, I think we have very admittedly flimsy laws in place or whatever to prevent this from actually happening to any sense of degree. But I mean, I think in other cases, like in China, where we can see just how you're clapping China.
No,
what a badly timed soundbite. No, amazing.
We've got a new face at the table. It's basically
right. Yeah. But anyway, I think you can see in states like China how easy it is for this technology to create police and surveillance states, and we need to be wary about shifting into that kind of authoritarianism.
Yeah. I mean, what's going on in China in terms of all this algorithm stuff?
Well, you've got the social credit system, right? Which essentially puts tangible points and tangible negatives into just your social behavior, which is bad for tons of different reasons. But it also ultimately allows the state and also Chinese corporations to judge if you're a good citizen or not, citizen in quotation marks, obviously. Which is terrifying. It robs you of all individuality.
Yeah, in their values, in the state's values, what is a good citizen as opposed to what the what the people think is a good citizen.
Yeah, like for them, a good citizen is a servant of the state or a servant of the party. Which is obviously, if we want to do a massive loop back, that's very, very different from here in the West, where we consider a good citizen as being a good consumer.
I mean, is either our definition of a good citizen? I mean, what would the people around the table, if we were the people designing the algorithms, what would we reward in our social credit system?
Well, no, I don't think you should have a social credit system at all, even if you want to reward stuff, because say you're a taxi driver and you have a client, and then you realize that your client left their wallet in the back of your taxi. The moral thing to do would be to either sort of contact them using their ID and give it back to them, or maybe like sort of hand it into a police station or something. And that exact same thing happened in China regarding a Western tourist who talked about it, and he was saying how like the reasons why the Chinese taxi driver gave back the wallet into the police station and handed it in was because they were terrified of them being associated with a tourist losing a wallet and that being logged onto their social credit system. So it completely robs any kind of goodness out of the app, because it makes sort of moral self-sacrifices into ultimately self-serving gains.
Okay, so if the app is telling you to give the wallet back, it doesn't have the same kind of, that would be same magic in a way as if you were just doing it off your own back. I mean, we have rating systems here in the West. We're talking about this social credit system. We're talking about what makes a good citizen. In the West, it's being a good consumer. In the East, it's being a servant of the state.
In China specifically.
In China, I know. In China, I just want to also, we've got Andre online as well. If you've got anything to say, please do chime in. I don't know if you want me to give you a bit more of a recap of where we are with this, but we've also got a new face in the middle there. So just tell us your name first of all, and then give us your point. You're coming straight in on this one, straight in from the cold.
Hello, I'm Lucy. And my comment is, my comment is, I'm not sure what your position might be, and I don't know too much about Chinese culture, but my understanding might be that a lot of people in China are happy and think that and I think about this a lot, is that like, do they think that they're in a state that the media is controlled, and like, do they think that
do they feel oppressed by it, I suppose?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people feel like they're part of the system and feel like they have autonomy and control, and then we as onlookers kind of put our Western slant on it.
I think that's a really good point. I think obviously a really good example relevant to that where we're seeing it happen is in Hong Kong, because the British handed that back over to China, and that's where all these protests are going on, because Hong Kong born people who lived their whole lives in what was a British colony, it's now being handed back to China, and obviously they view that as oppression because they're coming from a Western culture. Whereas but I think you are right that people who live in mainland China who've known the Chinese way the whole life, and I think there's a Netflix docu-film called Coded Bias, and then there were some Chinese ladies there who knew that due to the social credit system, the government is watching and monitoring and tracking everything they do, and they were perfectly happy with it. So
I mean, have you got a view on this? Have you got any experience with this?
I think the track and trace system is enough for me.
Track and trace, okay. All right.
I mean, it goes down to, do you trust the government, and do you think your government is has your best interests at heart and are competent enough to deal with your data in a effective way? Okay,
do we trust the government? Do we trust either the Chinese government or our own government? There's a few hands up. Let me just go to Ian first, then Margot, then Joseph. Go on.
Yeah, I'd just like to know that if I'm the only person around this table who thinks that, there's nothing incredible about my life in the sense of things I don't already know. I live my life by my own standards. So if I were gay and other people found out I was gay, unless I was in the closet, then that wouldn't be a big deal for me. Or if I promote my feelings, there's nothing that I feel that could be used against me, or that I wouldn't want anybody to know it's not that I am not that special that I think that there's machines hanging on my every word. Because if it comes up like that, I will just say, I don't want that. I'm not going to buy this. I'm not going to go there because I don't want to. However much the machine was. I also want to ask one question. Is there such thing as a thankless task? Because you could say that we do things in order to get thanks from other people or whatever. The only one I ever come up with is if you find a letter in the street addressed to somebody, you pick the letter up and deliver it, they will never know who put the letter through your door. Okay, so you cannot be thanked for that. I can't think of any other scenario.
Have you done that?
I've done that.
Well, thank you for doing that. No, sorry, I meant, although logically it's, but okay, where are we going to go with this? Margaret, you did have your hand up. Also, we've got another new face, so let's just shout your name out. Zaki, we've got Rashna, we've got Zara, we've got Loretta, we've got Ellen, we've got Ian, we've got Lucy, we've got Larice, Joseph, Anthony, Gonzo,
I would just suggest
and
if
Bella.
possible, I know it's not a lot of room. Could we move that way a little bit?
Can we have a little bit of a shunt around and there's more seats? Maybe while we're doing this, maybe we could also have a shout out for those people online. Andre, Mo, have you got any? David, Jacob, have you got anything you want to add while we're just having a little shuffle around in the studio? It's the first time we've done an indoor gig in this studio since really actually 2019. So it is you go on, Lucy. Grab that mic over there. And then I'll come to you, Ellen. Sorry.
Sorry, my quick response to Ian, he's gone.
Don't worry, he's listening.
My quick response to Ian is that, like, I think it's not necessarily to do with data collection about character traits that people feel about that you have now. Like, so if you have you think that it's perfectly fine for people to collect your hair color or, you know, lots of those things that you wouldn't mind sharing. But I think it's that instance of the government having that information and then the government changing hands or getting the power, kind of a bit like kind of the Nazi Germany, you know, like people weren't scared to share their religion until then it was very dangerous to share your religion. And by that point it's too late. They already know that information.
Okay, so you could get a bunch of ruthless fascists come into power, and in that moment, then it'll be scary. Yeah. Okay. Right now it's kind of you're implying that it's kind of okay. Ellen, you've got a point. What?
I was just going to say, whenever someone picks up and delivers a lost parcel in the street, I mean, there's always a WhatsApp group where you can inform your neighbor. So
yeah,
I mean, I don't know if
and
that's
then
a
you can get thanks.
Yeah, you can get thanks. You can get praise. You're a good citizen. So I don't know.
Okay, so it is possible these days to do a thankless task and get thanks. Speaking of, is it time? I'm munching on the grapes here. One of the things about being in the middle here is it is a bit of a thankless task as well, because you never get to say your own opinion because you're busy hosting and facilitating all these different opinions around here. There's been some great opinions tonight, but I'm wondering if there's anyone here that would want to volunteer to have a stint in the middle. Yeah, you can have a go.
Yeah, go. Zach.
Okay, all right. Well, so Zaki's going to have a go in the middle. You're going to have to sit. You have to somehow squeeze over here. You can go under if you want to. I'll grab your can of Monster that you're getting a round of applause from Mo as well, by the way. So remember, when you're in the middle, it's all about asking the questions. It's not about giving your own opinions. When you see me on the outside, you'll see how actually opinionated I've been. I've been sitting on those opinions, but I'm going to jump out. So you're going to go under then, Zaki.
Yeah, sure.
So come in. We're going to do two in the middle to start with, and then we're going to transfer headsets. I'm going to go and give this headset a little spray down, as we have to these days in the time of COVID. We have a little bit of intro music in the meantime. and we're just going to swap around. People online as well. I just want to put a call out to you guys. You're listening, but we need your input. You've got a different perspective here, so we need to hear what you've got to say about this. Do you trust the algorithms? Do you trust your government? Do you actually trust the doctors that are taking your health information? Do you trust the companies? We started off with more of a sense of trust, but then it went to a bit of a lack of trust. So where are we going with this? I'm just gonna, this might make a horrible noise. I'm just gonna introduce Zaki. So Zaki, you've got your gloves on as well. Is that because you don't trust the...
No, I just want to bring it on now because I'm fine with all this shenanigans, but everything that's gone on, just safety precaution. I'm double. Okay. I mean, welcome everyone. I'm Zaki C. I've been double jabbed with Pfizer a couple months ago, second dose. But I've recently heard news-wise that the government don't want to make the COVID vaccines mandatory because they realize, oh, it's out of our control. Obviously, like, it's a human right. Like, if I have one of my mates, it's a human right. It is. It's our right, yeah. I think as humans.
Anyway, this is too much opinion from in the middle of the table.
So what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I'm 100% with you, Zaki. I think obviously absolutely everyone should, like both morally and practically speaking, become fully vaccinated and get the boosters and everything. But it should be by no means any kind of government's place to enforce that.
Of course.
And you know, like it's like you can apply that to basically everything. I mean, like sure, like in the context of the pandemic, it seems like a good idea, but if the government started exercising this kind of power, then it won't just sort of like go away overnight or anything. Like the legislation will still be there for that kind of thing. It'd just be a bad idea. And this is why I think in like all these places in Europe and stuff, especially in Austria, right, where there are these massive protests, and I think it's very, very easy to dismiss them as saying that, like, oh well, you know, the people protesting are just anti-vax crazies. And sure, like a lot of them probably are, right? But if you just take that point and just believe that all anti-vax crazies and just accept that, you're sort of blinding yourself to a very, very real and quite important political issue.
Yeah, I think the young woman has a question. Sorry, I didn't get your name. Welcome.
Oh, or say something.
Yeah.
Forever hold your peace.
I'm gonna just over here.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I forgot your name. Joseph. Yeah, you mentioned the protest, so that's what I was gonna talk about really. Just I mean, they could make it mandatory, but there might be a whole load of unrest and protests and stuff like that. And I do think it's a slippery slope once governments start, you know, making things mandatory. It's a bit, So yeah.
Let's bring in Carl from online. Go on, exactly. You've got to just.
Oh, go on, Carl.
Hello.
Hello, Carl. Yeah, you all right?
Oh, hi. Well, it's I went to a meeting a few days ago, and it was exactly about the same thing, the algorithms, and the people who design the algorithms and for what reason. And I have to say, I know little, and I understand even less about what is being intended or what is the purpose of doing it.
Oh. Yeah, intriguing. We had a few hands over here. What's the next? Vishnu? Yeah.
Can I'm going to put two things together. So in terms of the algorithms, I worry, where is it headed? So today it can just be social media recommending products to you, knowing where your whereabouts are. Like there was a case where the police had access to WhatsApp, so they turned up.
That'd have been a huge
you can be
violation.
followed. Yeah. Google and Facebook actually knows, Facebook does definitely, if you've been in the vicinity of an area, because if you do Facebook ads as an ads manager, you can actually select that these ads go out to anybody that lives in this area or comes in and out of this area. I think it's more to do with where it's headed in terms of you're giving away your power to these big corporations who feed you things and give you ideas about how you should live. And I think in terms of mandatory vaccinations, have a similar view. Where does it end? So if the government next year decides that every month you have to be vaccinated, should we go along with that? Okay, so I think I'm very pro-choice. It's up to you what you want to do with your body. Personally, for me, I don't want Boris Johnson telling me what I do with my body. I think I should make those choices. And also, I'd like to think I'm intelligent and I've got access to the internet, but also I read books. I look at both sides of the argument. Why does the government somehow think that they know more about me and my health than I do? I advocate for my own health and I take responsibility for my own body. And I have actually, I'm really I really care about myself. Yeah. So I'm not willing to ever give away my power to any government who tells me, whether it's mandatory vaccinations or it's other things, in 10 years' time, 20 years' time, they decide that I'm only allowed to live on the 10th floor somewhere, or they decide that we no longer are allowed to grow our own food. I don't really agree with giving away your power. As human beings, fundamentally, we are free, we're born free. We're already having to pay to live on this earth. Like we pay for things that I don't think we should necessarily pay for. So I don't agree with government-led control over their citizens. And I believe that people should have choice. And we don't really live that long. Like most people are living into their 80s. So we're already working 9 to 5. We pay council tax. You know, we're paying like all the time, and we live for like 25 days annual leave, unless, you know, I'm sure everybody's circumstances are different. So
thankfully we don't live anywhere where abortion is illegal.
Yeah. So I'm very pro-choice. I'm really worried about where it's headed. I don't like to give away my own I don't want to give away control over little things, and not to say brainwashing, but marketing companies, the government are very, very clever about how they do things. And I would say they're really like the mafia. I describe the government as the mafia. They are really criminals. And I think the difference between the mafia and the government is the government have a front where it seems like they want to help the people. If you look at history, very few governments are really for the people. And anyway, that's what I'm worried about. I could go on for hours probably. But basically, I don't trust the government. And I'm not giving away my power to my body to the government. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pro-choice myself, I have to say, in every sense of the word. However, you know, I think not to be underestimated that it is an invasion of privacy in the highest order to be told to put something into your body. And I understand that. However, to me, I've just been out for a cigarette. I've just walked out there because I can't smoke in here, and I wasn't smoking here because there's a lot of non-smokers, and passive smoke actually affects other people. So do I have a right to sit down here and have a cigarette in front of, and pass that smoke to other people? Is that my right? I have a right to do anything to my body. I can poison myself as long as I like. But if it means poisoning other people, perhaps we should draw the line there. Yeah. I'd also say, sorry, I don't want to go on too long, that the government has found itself in a wonderful position because it passes all these laws, and there's a law to say that we can't go out and protest about it. We can't have marches. You know, it's in that position where it's like a police state. So I'm not saying they did it on purpose, because it's a natural phenomenon. So yeah, we are in a dangerous time because of the erosion of civil liberties in that sense. However, the bigger picture is that it's a medical thing, and I've known people that died of COVID, and I don't think they were faking it.
Yeah. Also, there's, I think Andre also online had a hand up, but he put it down.
Shall we go to Andre?
Yeah,
Go on, because he's not
Sorry, guys.
spoken yet.
So also in the middle, just try and get 1 point at a time from everybody. You know, if they go on to the next point, just say, hang on, we've got
This
the 1
person
point.
is, yeah.
So at the moment we're talking, let's get Andre's point. Let's see what he's got to say about this.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
I live in Austria, and it's impossible to live here without a vaccine, because if you're not vaccinated, you cannot go to work. And I'm still struggling to figure out whether it's right or wrong, because before I was against the vaccine, but now I'm thinking maybe it's a good thing that I took the vaccine in case I get corona. I will have a milder symptoms. Yeah, that was my point.
So, I mean, what are you saying? Do you think that it's right for it to be mandatory, or?
It's their choice, isn't it?
Well, he has a choice.
Yeah, I mean, there's choice and freedom of speech.
I still don't know whether it's right.
You don't know, okay.
Andre, how are you? Are you protesting, or are your friends protesting?
No, I'm not protesting against it.
Know anyone who is on the streets?
There are a lot of people on the streets, yeah.
Andre, if you don't mind me intervening, I think Joseph wants to make a point in it. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. So, Andre, you saying that you're sort of you're undecided whether you think sort of vaccination as a legal sort of enforcement was a good or a bad idea or more idea or not. And sorry, what's your name?
Ian.
Ian. And Ian, you talking about how you know, obviously like a strong government interfering on moral issues is completely out of the question, but at the end of the day, COVID is ultimately a medical issue, and that
not really. But
yeah. well, sorry, I thought you said that, but
yeah.
But anyway, and I think as well, like in some cases, especially in European countries, like where they're not enforcing the vaccine because they believe it's the moral thing to do, but more for very, very pragmatic and practical reasons. And we talk about how difficult it is to discern whether it's right or wrong. And this is only going to get more and more difficult, because although it's such a it's somewhat refreshing and quite idealistic to have such a libertarian take from a little bit earlier from
is that
no
Rishna.
From Rishna. I think in regards to the kind of problems sort of humanity and our civilization are going to be facing in the next few decades, like obviously sort of climate change, goes without saying, but also sort of mass automation, and earlier, quite a lot earlier, we were talking about sort of the loneliness epidemic and the idea of sort of like a lack of meaning in most people's lives and a lack of sort of human connection. I think it's obvious that a lot of these problems are ultimately due to weak government in regards to sort of how little regulation there is, especially in the corporate sector. So we might very well need a strong practical government in the future, and being able to sort of discern whether that strong government oversteps the line into becoming, you know, a moral tyrant instead of just doing what's practical necessity is a very important thing to sort of have.
I was going to ask, what if we were forced to work in the metaverse, just how we started this conversation, because to save carbon emissions, we were mandated to work in the metaverse in virtual reality.
So if that does happen, I think it would more like you being forced to work from home. I think the metaverse will be dead on arrival as soon as it happens.
It's happening now.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's the fact that even us now have such a negative view on it.
Do we?
Yeah, it's a terrible idea. It's ridiculous.
I don't think we actually agree.
It's just The Sims. But like, they're trying to sort of usurp the internet, right? And that's impossible. You can't hope to do it. Only someone like Mark Zuckerberg, with the sort of corporate ambition and billions and wealth, would ever dream of thinking that's possible.
Just the 2 points that we talked about in terms of like
algorithms using our data that we've given them, our voices to the microphone, to like do marketers to us. I'm just thinking actually the metaverse could be one solution to wipe all that, right? When we create a new identity, multiple identities.
It's owned by Facebook, like you're already harvesting.
So no, so Facebook renamed themselves the metaverse because they're trying to get a head start on the concept. But I mean, Decentraland is a crypto field,
sorry.
right?
Sorry.
So like, okay, yeah. So I'm talking about metaverse in just a general like sense. Facebook have jumped on and I don't know how they were allowed to copyright that.
Not necessarily a corporate owned institution, but more a general change in how we use and perceive the internet. Okay.
Our lives.
Yeah, that's a very, very different conversation.
I'd like to pass it on to the very well put in terms of the points from everyone. I mean, it's given me lots of thought here, but I'd like to pass it on to the woman in the back, and I think the
it was about stuff that the government forces us to do, and I think ideally you would like to think that the government would be able to. It was kind of suggesting what makes you do something to save carbon. My point was going to be that the government doesn't necessarily make all the right decisions and take the right decisions to suit everybody, but I think we're all on board with that. So I don't think I'm saying anything revolutionary.
And I think what we've touched upon is like doing. I think what we touched upon with like the vaccine, with data, with we've seen it in the past with terrorism. It's actually infringing or sacrificing personal rights or individual rights for the greater good and for the interest of the wider public. And I think that's, if you have a discussion about rights, you're always usurped or outnumbered by the greater good, and that's sometimes the umbrella that governments use to push through things.
Very well put, Bella. I'd like to pass on to you.
In terms of like, just because I wanted to speak about what you said about metaverse and if it's a good idea or not, but then also about like rights to decide about yourself. I'm assuming, and also we are all pretty healthy and privileged people that doesn't have issues with going outside and like meeting new people or working on like different in different fields, but like people with disabilities or people who are not able to work outside just as freely as we are. I think for them that might be a good idea. Like we are taking from like a very privileged position that we can actually decide like, oh yeah, this is I'm not gonna swear, but this is not a good idea. Or it doesn't make sense because we can just go outside and meet each other. But actually the whole pandemic as well showed us that it's really needed to connect through the internet as well. And this metaverse is kind of a developed idea of like the whole reality where people can be more equal with each other despite their disabilities or gender or skin color, whatever. And it's also about deciding about yourself, how others portray you as well. Sorry, that was very long thought, but there it is.
Thank you very much, Laura. I'd like to pass it on to...
I'd like to say that I think we missed the phrase of the night there with Joseph, when he said moral tyrant, which I think is that a contradiction in terms? I think so. If I ever write a book, I'm going to call it The Moral Tyrant, because I'd also like to point out that there's lots of people with hidden, issues, because I'm on the train every day and they say you don't have to wear a face mask if you have underlying medical, and 80% of people don't wear masks. So I'm thinking there's so many damaged people out there.
There's something on there. I think just...
Sorry. I just want to clarify the term. I didn't mean moral tyrant as in a benevolent dictatorship. I meant more as in a, like a tyrant on moral grounds. For example, like only enforcing a decision because they perceive it as a moral decision, opposed to like, for example, in America or whatever, like an American governor dictating that abortion in the state is completely illegal, that would be like, that's his moral opinion influencing his politics.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to say, you know, if we did have to work in the metaverse and we were forced to do it, it would be a corporate metaverse, because you just see the vaccines, all the vaccines that are offered are from huge pharmaceutical corporations. That's what the government, and there are actually open source ones that we don't get offered. And it'd be the same with the metaverse. We'll be offered the corporate version of this. I mean, I think just to go on your point about, because doing Talkaoke, we noticed as soon as we went online, there were people with accessibility issues that, you know, that in a wheelchair or visually impaired, or that they live in South London, can now come and actually get involved in the Talkaoke session. So, you know, now that's why we do it on Zoom now and in the real life. So that, yeah, you've come from South London, so
you're playing a dangerous game, dissing South London.
I'm saying that it's a long way to come. So it's a long way to come. So I'm just giving you like the.
Come a long way.
Yeah, a longer way than you have.
Yeah, there's a point.
I'm just going to say quickly, online, if there's anything that anyone said thinking, I agree, I disagree. Carl, is that hand up? We'll come to you.
Yes, please. I will say, I will not presume that a government has any evil intention at any point in time. The pandemic was a completely new thing for the entire world, and everybody was desperate to try and tackle the problem in every way they could, in every way they thought that they could do it. And so the issue of masks, they said, well, somebody presumes that if you use a mask, you might at least reduce exposure. Masks are used in hospitals by doctors and nurses to reduce infection, for example. So I don't presume there is an evil intention. And I see the situation in Brazil, where there was little access to vaccines, and they were putting people in common graves without any identification, because they didn't have the time to bury them. And you have situations like India or even Russia, where people do not take the vaccine and the number of dead is rising exponentially. So we are dealing with the unknown. We are dealing with something that we couldn't predict that it could happen. And therefore, we have to have a sort of leeway in terms of accepting that there will be mistakes, that there will be excesses at one point, but that the general purpose is to prevent the death of so many people.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the argument with Russia. It saved millions of lives. Not bombed in war because it saved millions of lives, but they certainly killed those millions more with the Tomahawk.
I don't know, man. A land invasion of Japan would have been utter hell.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
But that's a different conversation.
No,
that's in bad taste. That sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, I want to go back to also about, you know, what we are putting in our bodies, and, you know, surely we have the right to decide about it. I think, I mean, what idea that, you know, the world just got so complicated. It's just like, if algorithms know what we're thinking, like how we, and they give us what we supposedly want to see, or it's easy for, you know, convenient for us to see, you know, how are we supposed to, how are we sure what we want is the right thing in a way? Because I find it completely mind-boggling. Sometimes I just don't know whether my thoughts, like maybe I'm just getting a bit too philosophical, but sometimes I just think, are my thoughts my own, or am I just being, you know, no, but
a healthy amount of introspection.
Right, you know, because sometimes I think, you know, this is a stupid example. Do I really want this thing that Facebook is advertising to me? Yes or no? This is like a really crass idea, but, you know, do I really think that because I think that, and what is my judgment based on? That's one thing. And the second thing is that I recently discovered that as much as I, you know, through the association with my friends who hate Tories, I was like, yeah, fuck Tories.
But it wasn't until I started learning for my British citizenship test that I really fully embraced, not the Tories, but the British values and how privileged this country is. I don't think I ever understood that. And coming as an outsider and hearing people all the time going like, oh, fucking government, fucking this, and like, oh, this is really wrong. Like, I'm really saying, yeah, but it's fucking also really great. I just wanted to put that out there.
Really.
Yeah, well, it's the kind of patriotism only an outsider can have.
I'm a migrant, I'm not an expat. Do you know what I
You
mean?
mean being able to heckle?
But I mean, it takes an outsider to see the bigger picture.
Exactly, where do you want the conversation to go?
I mean, David wants to quickly give a point if that's possible. Oh. David?
No, just being able to echo. Just basically, there is structure in the parliament that basically, yeah, it's like the debate, and basically you can shout in the parliament. So basically somehow that dragged down to the whole political system in England, I guess. Freedom of speech.
Is that a good thing?
I think it's a good thing, yeah. So basically somehow you're allowed to express, put your voice up, whatever the point of view you got, which is basically the way to start with like a freedom in general. Because yeah, in general, basically in certain countries, basically that's this freedom of speech being like asserted and is like a control and so that. So that's where the consequence starts. Anyway, that's my point. Is it did I make myself understood? Anyway, next.
Oh my gosh. Could I pass on to
Hi, I just kind of wanted to add that I feel like we've been reduced to the things we buy and the ads that we look at. And for example, a lot of my friends, they shop online. I feel like we all have a habit. I certainly have a habit myself, but I feel like, yeah, and I feel like, you think, oh, okay, I've got these new bags or these new shoes, or you're constantly in that cycle of buying things. And I feel like you don't really, that doesn't really tell you who you are. And I sometimes I feel like we're in this cycle of, looking at the materialistic world and constantly chasing for something else. And I feel like we don't really understand the fundamental, and I know that's very wishy-washy, and for a lot of people, but genuinely, I feel like, when you're constantly searching for something and you're constantly thinking about something else that's going to fulfill you, and I feel like just constantly focusing on things that are outside of yourself, and rather than things that fundamentally matter.
Can I make a quick comment? It's also how much you buy for your family back home. So basically the English economy does stand a lot on how much foreigners spend money on things they send back to their own country. So basically somehow we are very important to the English economy.
It's like a global yeah.
I was going to say multiple things. The one thing that I was going to say responding to that is that you kind of like you said that as if you get some joy from the stuff that you buy. Then I suddenly realized that I can't ever make a decision on anything that I want to buy, and I never end up buying anything. Like, I'll always stress about kind of, if I want to get some new sunglasses, I'll have like 5 tabs open of all the sunglasses that I want, and then get to say by the decision, and then I won't even buy it. So I guess at least you're getting some joy from that. But the other thing I was going to say was it was going back to the metaverse, and that it's like helpful for some people, but I think other people with like neurodiversities, like such as like ADHD, or like people that connect more in person, it's more, that's kind of it's extending people's abilities in some ways, but kind of forcing people to like sit still or communicate in a way that's based on reading and writing, or without certain social cues. I don't know, it's maybe taking away power from those people. And there was another thing I was going to say about something else, but I've completely forgotten. So.
You don't need to police this, Zach. You should be
one point at a time. Yeah. I mean, I have to say, I'd like to switch this up. I mean, we've talked about the metaverse, we've had over here, material possessions, all these things. I mean, I think we should.
I've got about 6 points to make. I'll only make one of them. I think that clothing is an expression of your identity. And I think that, for instance, I dress like a struggling artist who doesn't want to struggle. Yeah. So I think given that kind of presentation about the way people think as well, you reflect yourself in kind of what you wear and who you are. And that's it. That's your personality in a nutshell.
Yeah, just when we follow on to that, I actually wonder that I just thought now when you raising that point, in cultures or countries where you don't have choice over how you dress, right? So either like a Hasidic Jew or like Muslim women with like the one above birth or whatever the one is where it's just
a hijab.
Hijab, yeah, and there's that one with that that cut down is literally just
niqab,
yeah. So like, and I wonder, say they first step, they actually intend or they're inclined to maybe live this other life online and dress up and have like other clothing and be able to walk around in public in this metaverse in ways that they wouldn't be able to do in real life in this current world. So say they want to do that and they do that. I wonder whether that would be acceptable in their religion or in their books, because I guess that's not necessarily covered in the scriptures so far, because they haven't imagined such a well.
I would say that kind of goes back to the China point, which is that it's kind of suggesting that the people who are in these religious groups don't want to be dressing like that and would relish the opportunity to not be dressing like that. Yeah, and whereas like normally like those people, some of them feel trapped and don't want to be living like that, but a lot of them do like the life that they live, dress the way that they dress, are in a complete community where they're surrounded by other people that do the same, and kind of wouldn't want to dress differently.
No, I'm not saying all of them generally. I'm just saying, should there be one in that community?
Yeah,
you've got people moving on from what was that? Like
unorthodox. Yeah, you get people so they can leave if they were.
Sure, but then some people who maybe just don't have that freedom and they want to live that life online. I wonder. It's just like, I'm not saying all British people love British chicks. I'm just saying like individually, say you're born into that culture and you have the inclination, I want to try this other life out. I just wonder whether they'd be allowed.
Oh,
I think probably actually, I would think if you were younger.
Does anyone else have any? No dialogue. No dialogue. I think Margot had a point to give.
We're on Instagram Live, by the way, people. So say get us happening. Oh, great! So, no, what I wanted to say is like I really like the point about like I think maybe we're assuming too much about people who want to wear this kind of clothing or this kind of clothing. I remember like a few years ago, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who was doing a PhD in Islamic studies, and I said, "Oh yeah, the women in veils," and he said, "Listen, maybe you are the one who got it wrong. Maybe you have got too much choice. Maybe just spend your time just like chasing, stupid shit." And for people, it's like they like the simplicity. One less thing to think about. Thank you very much. I can get on with the things that I really feel my life is about. So yeah, it really changed my mind. So, I would welcome just like, this is a little bit flippant, but if we all had like one uniform that we all wore, like just think about all the things that we could put our minds to instead of to our shopping.
I'll quickly like to
I mean, that was a philosophy behind school uniforms, wasn't it? That it meant that people, richer people, poorer people dressed the same way, and there was no thing. I often think I work on a building site, and it's misogyny city. I often think that although women should be able to dress the way they want to, it's probably a lot less hassle. I often think that although women should be able to dress the way they want to, oh my God! I often think that although women should be able to dress the way they want to, I often think that although women. Who was that idiot? Okay. So although women should be allowed to dress like that, I think it probably maybe less hassle, when somebody is not dressing in a explicit way, for want of a better phrase, that they don't get that. Because I mean, I worked on the building site with loads of men, and it's like show an ankle, and it's like, oh, you know, it's school playground stuff, you know. It's embarrassing, makes me ashamed to be a man.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if you want to call it modesty, or if you want to call it self-preservation, or whatever, it can be that seen that way.
Well put. I'd like to quickly pass it to
I just want to say, I think that clothing can be really powerful, just because I feel like it can make you feel like a different person. So, for example, I went in sixth form. I had this weird phase where I'd wear a different outfit every single day. Like I would not wear the same outfit in the same week. It was like a weird rule in my head, because I wanted to be perceived as somebody, you know. I don't know if you've watched Gossip Girl, any of you, but Blair Waldorf of Gossip Girl. And I was completely like enthralled by her. I wanted to be her, and I wanted to have that same perception. I wanted people to see me as that kind of person that, you know, is quite sophisticated and eloquent and dresses is fashionable, and it's almost like a personality kind. You're like it was almost like a mask for me, because I wanted to just be somebody else, and I felt like clothing really, it can be a very good thing, and for me it was a self-expression, but I feel like, yeah, and I think by a certain point it actually got quite toxic for me, because I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm completely taken over by clothes I wear. Like, for example, what you said about it shouldn't just be about what you wear, you should be thinking about other things and you know, more important things in life. It shouldn't just be about what you wear. But it was really yeah.
Thank you for your point. That was one. I'd like to pass on to John. Joseph.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Marco. I'm sorry, but like, yeah. So we probably are a bit too focused on the superficial, yeah. But advocating for a single cultural uniform, which everyone wears, that would be a terrible idea. It's just well, because it would just lead into the mass collectivism that gave rise to the regimes such as communism and Nazism, wouldn't it? Like it completely dehumanizes the individual into being part of a whole.
What's so great about individual?
Because it's about sort of like humans are individuals. We're not part of a hive mind. Everyone has their own thoughts, their own feelings, their own consciousness, their own desires, their own wants. You know,
behave as a group when all together.
Yeah, it is absolutely. It's the variety of life. It's everyone striving for different ends. It's everyone like trying to be the best version of themselves they can, right? Like you can't strip humanity of that. It's the best thing we have.
But we just had a point raised earlier when you couldn't choose sunglasses and you preferred maybe the algorithm.
I loved having the uniform. I loved it so much.
Yeah, but you like
people were at school.
Like, of course,
and other schools
cool,
had
right?
uniforms,
Cool
didn't have
cool
uniforms.
But like, that's the allure of sort of being part of a club, right?
But also, you mentioned that we're individuals and we don't behave, but we do behave as collective. You go to a football match and people behave like a collective unit.
Yeah, but that's one case, right? Like, it isn't an entire culture. It isn't an entire sort of population of millions of people, and it isn't crucially controlled by a sort of government.
I think that football players should be able to wear whatever they want during the match.
I wanted to add that maybe this collectivism and versus individualism thing with the clothing, we kind of turn back, segue into the theme that we already discussed at the beginning, where we found out that men are kind of more mediocre and in solidarity with each other, in more ease, in contrast to women that are kind of
more critical, wasn't it? More critical.
More, yeah, but there's something to do with like, yeah. Is that a point?
What's your question, sorry?
Well, I mean, I think basically Gonzo's point is with the kind of uniform and this kind of, you know, like it's almost like the building site, all the builders are wearing yellow jackets. No one's going to say, oh, you know, that's a disgusting high vis jacket you've got, you know, it's like, I can't believe you're wearing that yellow hat. But at the same time, you know, like this diversity, and I think this expression through how you look can also lead to a kind of critical element. I think it wasn't what either Gonzo or I was saying, but it's what women around the table were saying. I'm just recapping the conversation from what happened earlier. That's all I'm doing.
I would just like to respond to Joe's point. I think there's an issue with people just saying, you know, it's either everybody wears a uniform and are basically Nazis, or you know, I think it's just too binary. It's like saying you can either be a caring mother or a complete slut.
I'm not saying that.
No, but I'm just saying that there's this kind of tendency, or like, you know, it can be either men or, you know, either a man or a woman. And I think that's a problem because we forgot in our individualism or individuality, whatever, it's my second language, give me a break, you know, put through hundreds of algorithms and technology, which is so empowering, but actually it's actually really shit. We now think we have to present ourselves, we have to define ourselves against something. We cannot be a little bit in between. And if you are a little bit in between, you have to make a lifestyle choice out of it. But humans are in between. We are all of these things. You can wear a uniform and we can all, as a society, agree that that's a good idea. Whether that's going to happen, probably never going to happen. But
you can't just wear
I'm just against binary.
You can't wear a decentralized uniform.
This one. Wow, this is a very hectic session. I can't lie. I mean, it is the last one, but I'd like to quickly pass on to Laura.
I was gonna say that I think if you all wore a uniform, I think people would start to, like, at school, you'd like, just to try and express your individuality, you might like roll the sleeves up a little bit, or people would start to judge people by like how new their uniform was. And I think it's a bit like the same thing that if you put, you know, people will find ways to express individuality or draw lines between each other, because that's kind of psychologically how we are set up. I also think that we have wonderful faces and like different bodies, and embrace the differences that we naturally have. Like if we all were naked and we had no clothes, we all would look different too, and that's beautiful. So I think you could still wear a uniform and embrace everyone's differences and beauty at the same time.
Thank you very much. I'd like to pass on to you, please.
Yeah, thank you for saying I'm beautiful. I really appreciate that. Yeah, just to say, I was a mod in the 70s, and it's a modernist. You know, that's what it stands for, and it's supposed to, you know, individuality. And we all wore the same stuff. So fashion, when something becomes fashionable, then it becomes a uniform. You'll find people, skinheads, whatever youth culture you get into, you'll find that there's a uniform that people gather around because it's one of us sort of mentality. Yeah. So to say individuality is rare.
I'm just going to pick up the mic because we've got some new faces online, so I'm just going to very quickly kind of sum up where we are at the moment. We're sort of talking about individuality versus kind of collectivism. Are we kind of too expressive about how we look? What about Muslim women or Hasidic women that are all, or Hasidic men for that matter, or Muslim men for that matter, all kind of have got a particular kind of look that is prescribed by their religion? And what about uniform? Some people like the idea of wearing a uniform, be it, I mean, I'm kind of would go for that kind of Chinese, like overalls, kind of like blue navy overalls kind of look, if it was going to be. But, you know, that's where we are right now. And it's about, also earlier on, we were talking about governments versus, you know, have they got our kind of best interests at heart? Or, you know, yeah, some of you people have been on Talkaoke before, you know the score. So that's basically where we are right now. But who is going to go next, Zaki? We've got Zaki in the middle.
I think Bella.
Okay. Or maybe Mandy's going to jump on. Mandy, have you got any?
Hello, hi Mikey. Hello, hi everybody. Hi. I don't know. I mean, I'm not quite sure at the moment. I just want to listen for a little while and kind of get into it. But anyway, good to be here.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us. There's a point from Joseph, isn't there?
I sort of wanted to reply to Ian, but it's okay. It doesn't matter. So Ian drew the comparison of sort of with mods, right, and fashion becoming a uniform, right? I think there's a really, really big difference between fashion and uniforms. So I think if something's fashion, then it's basically just culture, right? And it's somewhat decentralized. It's just what like, oh, yeah, sorry, I'm just responding to the idea of fashion, like with the mods becoming uniform, right? And I think there's a big difference between fashion and uniform, because at least in my idea of the word uniform, that's something which is mandated by some kind of authority, like a school board, right? Yeah. Whereas with fashion, it's more like everyone has sort of almost kind of agreed that this looks cool and we should all do it, which is a really, really big difference, because yeah, like committing to a fashion is a choice, right? And yeah, and you're expressing yourself by saying, yeah, I really, really, really like this fashion. But if there's a uniform being forced upon you,
you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and I think that's the big difference.
You're absolutely
When you started that point, you were like, oh, if we were all forced to wear something, we would just be in this like communist thing, and it would just be a monstrosity. When you propose, should the government tomorrow force everyone, say in this country, to wear certain clothing? But I think what we didn't cover, and even though we did speak about it earlier, was that there are religions, whether it's Jewish or Muslim, where it is due to the religious authority or whatever you want to call it, that they have to wear these outfits or these clothing.
And
so
I
are you
think
transferring that same comment to religion?
I think if anything is forcing something upon you, then it's a bad thing. I'm a big
Whether it's religion or
of course.
Yeah, I think people should be as free as possible. Of course, with religions, ideally, religion should be an opt-in kind of thing, where if you like the message of religion, then you can follow its tenets. And however, I don't think you should be punished or ostracized if you then leave that set of ideals.
You and I both know that there are people who don't have that freedom.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I think that's an absolutely terrible facet of reality. But you know, in an ideal thing we could aspire to, religion should very much be secondary to. Yeah, of course. But I mean, like, still, I would rather stand by my ideals than governments.
What was the China thing again? It's like the same thing that people are into on the conversation.
I mean, honestly, guys, I want your input on this. Should we keep it on this topic of religion and its ideals and its own aspects, or should we switch it up to recent topics? Maybe COVID
can I
politics.
Just say
something? Or humor? I don't know.
Can I just say something I've been dying to bring into the conversation all evening? And that's the aspect of class. When I was young, we were poor, and the fashions of the day dictated that you had to have Levi jeans and Ben Sherman shirts. That was the fashion. And my mum used to get me stuff from Woolworths and or Tesco, and it was like they were called Tesco bombers, and they were like cheap jeans, cheap shirt, and I got somewhat ostracized by that because I was never with the cool kids.
Yeah.
You know, so if you talk about kind of punishment or that kind of thing for a uniform, you know, I don't know, it's something that you can aspire to, I suppose, you know, but there are certain things. There's also practical clothing, you know, if you work down in the mine, you're not going to go down in a three-piece suit, are you?
Yeah,
you know, that
kind of thing. That.
So again, something I want to mention is class, because I'm reading Chabs at the moment. Some good friend of mine lent me the book. So
does anyone else have anything to add to this?
Yeah, just to hear what your thoughts are on that book, because it's quite a few years ago that came out, right?
Yeah.
So do you think it's still relevant?
I
don't
certainly
see any
do. Oh, absolutely. It's changed the way I thought about a lot. I was sorry, I don't want to go too deep into this, but I work on a building site, and I work in council estate at the moment. And one of the managing directors came around, and I work with residents. I'm a resident liaison officer, and he said, "Oh, I bet you've got your work cut out around here." And I thought, why is he saying that? He's saying that because it's a council estate. He's presuming that people around there are all chavs, i.e. single parents, people with drug addictions, people with alcohol addictions, antisocial behavior. I go into work every morning and I'm delighted to see people, not even single parents taking their children out to school. It's a working class community that's struggling in poor housing. So I think the term is as relevant today as it ever was.
Oh, we got. So I think we might be getting some final thoughts from over here. So let's get final thought. Unless anyone, be you online, you're getting a round of applause, by the way, from Mandy. Let's get some final thoughts from Joseph and Anthony.
Okay, so my very final thought was being quite blown out by the fact that being told I had to have a final thought. Not about that. So my actual final thoughts are challenge everything, fight the power.
I will do that.
Yes.
Anthony?
Well,
nice to meet you, Joe.
yeah, well, he stole my thunder rather, but it's been a revelation. And thank you very much. And I'll see you guys next month.
Hopefully.
January.
We're not actually doing a Talkaoke next month because it'll be in a month's time.
Next
Exactly.
year, then.
Today it's Christmas. But do come on the last Thursday in January. Actually, the second to last Thursday in January for that one. But anyway, it might be we're forced to celebrate Christmas. Okay, well that's enough. Okay. Well, you're at a crossroads now, Lucy, because I was going to say, do you want to go in the middle? But you can't then rant about whether we do Christmas or not. So it's up to you. Do you want to go in the middle and lose your right? Do you want a last final? Do you want a final rant before you jump in the middle about Christmas?
Go on then.
It was just on the note of like, do we have control of anything? Well, we're in a country that has a predominant religion and it is Christianity, but we are forced by the government to take that as a holiday. If you're talking about like, do we get forced to wear clothing? Do we get forced to blah, 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 blah?
So there's a Christian agenda that we're forced to.
Yeah, I mean, like all the holidays in terms of, what was it? COVID recently, the lockdowns all respected the Christian holidays, but not like Eid, not like Yom Kippur. Yeah, like they all like, and they could have done it by a matter of like 2 or 3 days, but they made the conscious decision to respect the Christian holidays, but not the Jewish. Yeah, but you weren't originally gonna be. They was like, we're gonna mess the whole country up.
You're going in the middle, so you're not allowed to say anything. So hopefully there'll be someone.
I mean, if I like to add, I made a complete dog sin of it, but last Talkaoke, you might as well try things, you know. Don't look until you try it. That's what my dad told me. So
okay, it's great stuff in the middle there, Zaki. A talent in the making.
Well done.
Let's give Zaki a round of applause. I'm just gonna. Do you want to grab that headset mic over there that's on the table? And I'm just gonna, at the same time, I'm just gonna grab the mic and just chat to the people online because I don't want to feel like they're ignored. Have you got anything to add to any of these questions about uniform, about religious uniform, about religious holidays? Carl? Oh, Mandy.
Hello, yeah. About clothes, not particularly. I mean, I haven't got any strong opinions about clothes. But Christmas, I mean, I like to have time with my family. I'm not Christian, I'm a Buddhist, but don't celebrate Christianity myself, but we always celebrate Christmas, me and my family, and it's a family time. With the lockdown, I was actually illegal last year. I was one of the ones that shouldn't have been there, but I just passed a COVID test and I was negative, so I felt I was okay to go, but yeah. Don't know what it's going to be like this year. We'll be allowed to have Christmas.
You're a Buddhist, but you celebrate Christmas.
Yes, because none of us actually go to church or anything like that. But it's to get together with a family. It's about just meeting and spending time with my family. Really, it's not really about the Christianity thing as such. Not for me, anyway.
Let's welcome Lucy in the middle of the table. Thank you, Mandy. It's a very good point, and a lot of hands raised. But over to you, Lucy.
Hi, hello, everybody.
Let's just do a quick sound check.
Me. Hi. Hello, everybody.
Too loud.
Turn it down.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Lucy. I'm going to do a round of names. I probably won't remember, but I'll try really hard or I'll get it wrong. I'm Lucy. Rashna. Hi, Rashna. Hi, Zara. Hi, Loretta. Hi, Margot.
I'm Ian.
Hi, Ian.
I'm James.
Hi, James. No one's behind that. Larice. Hi, Larice. Hi, Gonzo.
Mikey.
Hi, Mikey. Right. So this evening we have talked about the metaverse, talked about our freedoms in general, talked about fashion, we've talked about algorithms. Ian's already got a point. Go on.
Yeah, no, I wasn't going. I was going to say one of my favourite quotes from my mother was sitting down watching one of the films you get at Easter. As she came in, she said, "Easter, they have to bring religion into everything, don't they?"
So do we? I kind of missed that. Was that
because Easter is a religious thing, but she was saying, "Oh, why are they bringing religion into Easter?" Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Sorry, I slightly missed that. But I also realized I didn't say hi to everyone online. So we've got David, Carl, give us a wave, Mandy.
Hello.
We'll just change the layout.
So David, Carl,
Laura,
Mandy.
Bella.
Yeah, they're in the.
Oh, they're in the studio. Okay.
David based it. Okay.
Great. So where do we want to take it? Do we want to talk about our freedoms? We seem to get really hot on our freedoms and whether we like our freedoms and whether they are actually our freedoms.
I just want to say my parents are very much communists. And yes, they do live in a big house. And they love Christmas.
So you don't have to, you can be communist and like Christmas.
You can have a Buddhist Christmas, you can have a communist Christmas as well.
What do your Christmas look like?
I'm a Christian socialist.
Christian socialist.
They're not Christian at all. They're very extremely embarrassingly anti-religion. But
Christmas. Yeah.
What's that, sorry?
Yeah, in Soviet Union, I lived there, and there was all the Christmas things were going on, although they were secularized. There was a Father Christmas, the element, and
where was this? Sorry.
So in Soviet Union.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Father Christmas and his kind of sidekick was the. What was Snegurочка is like the Snow White is his sidekick, and
Snow White sidekick.
Yeah.
So, but does Christianity need to be present to have Christmas? Does everybody celebrate Christmas? Everyone's thoughts? You can be communist to have Christmas. It's like a book. Yeah, to be communist with Christmas.
I actually don't associate Christmas with a religion. I just think it's just a day off, really.
Yeah.
We don't. I don't celebrate it as a religion, but it's nice to have that time of year. It reminds me of family and just nice feelings.
Yeah.
So I actually don't ever think of Christmas as like a Christian holiday.
Yeah.
I just think it's a nice time when everybody gets a day off. So
just a nice time. Sure.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever thought about it as anything to do with
no
religion.
association with religion at all. Some people think it's Santa Claus and Snow White. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually the local church warden. I still believe that I have my beliefs, but the holiday of Christmas was taken for the pagans anyway. And also that it's that time of year where we're just approaching the dark nights of winter. And it's a time to kind of celebrate what the harvest was. There's so many kind of natural reasons to celebrate a holiday at Christmas time. I also think that we should celebrate other religious festivals with days off as well. Why is it just a Christian thing?
So really, right now in the darkness is a natural time to have a celebration, whatever the celebration might be. At the back.
I'm always up for a celebration.
Cheers to that. Yeah.
Thank you. I am not actually I don't have specific facts, but what about all the pagan celebrations that people would celebrate around, and then Christians would come and cover those celebrations with the Christian Christmas or Easter, and that's why you say like Jesus wasn't born on Christmas, he was born in the summer or whatever. Why is it in December? And it's because there were other pagan celebrations during that time that Christians wanted to like cover up with their ideology and just convince people that this is what they should celebrate now.
So they took over the festival, or they made a new
They
one, or
used-
they like took it on as their own.
They use it in a way that they just changed the concept, but it was like during the same periods, like the same season, or like was said before, people would celebrate different seasons, or like gathering the food, or the changes in the sky, whatever. And actually in Poland, which used to be a very pagan country, people would celebrate and make decorations, and a lot of those decorations then now are associated with Christmas, but actually originally they were nothing in common, which I find very interesting.
Yeah. Huh. So kind of Christians took over different festivals. Does anybody, any other festivals? Does Christmas, Christians the only one to take over Christmas? Any?
I mean, I like the idea of having a festival every day. Like, you know, if you just did your research, then probably today is a festival day for a religion. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, why, you know, you could have, I mean, obviously there's the big ones, there's Eid, the two Eids, Diwali, the
Hanukkah.
Rosh Hashanah, yeah. Hanukkah, yeah. Hanukkah's actually in, I think,
There is a massive one right now.
yeah, is that?
In Luxor in Egypt, they're opening up all sorts of temples. I'm not sure about how big the religiousness of it is, but I mean, there are definitely among temples with 100,000 performers doing the Sphinx Avenue. It's it's RT Live. The news channel, yeah.
So there's lots of different reasons to celebrate, but during the darkness, it appears that's the time that we should be celebrating. So
It's when the Queen's birthday is like in November or something, but then we celebrate it in the summer because she thinks that it's better for everyone to have a party in the summer when it's hot, right?
Official
We celebrate
birthday
it.
as well.
Pardon?
She has an official birthday and her own birthday.
Right.
So
So we
yeah.
celebrate it on a day, which is just her choice because
Indeed.
it's more
Yeah.
practical.
My birthday today.
do we all wish
It's
that?
actually-
Oh!
It's not.
So do we all feel that we should actually, like, what is the meaning of a birthday? You know, what's the meaning of Christmas? What's the meaning of a birthday? Should we get to choose our own birthday? Would you choose your own birthday if you could?
No, we'll mix up the star signs and that.
Huh? Star signs. Is anyone following that star?
Hi everyone. I'd like to quickly add on that
Oh,
point of
hi,
birthdays.
hi. We've had new joiners.
We
as
had
well.
we just went for a quick fact. But,
Okay.
I'd like to add on your point of birthdays. I'm probably the youngest here, 19. But with the age of birth, I mean, I've had friends who are older than me. They're like, and I was like, what do birthdays mean to you? And they're like, oh, pish pashore, mate. It's nothing. It's just an age, innit? Like, and I'm like,
Yeah.
but then again, in birthdays you celebrate. But I realize, you know, I'm sure you guys do. As you get older, it's just, woo, you know, you just you're older, I guess.
Yeah.
Just living another life in this apocalypse. I guess.
So it's not really your birthday. Kind of doesn't.
But you still have to celebrate something. I mean, you've been through another year, shit. So,
Yeah.
so possibly, I guess there's some good to come out of it.
Another
You're
celebration
learning,
to learn. Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to pass the microphone back?
I feel like I definitely feel like we should celebrate our birthday, because you don't have to, but I feel like I definitely do. But I think that there's such a standard that people set for themselves on their birthdays. So for example, I feel like a lot of people, I mean, a lot of my friends are like, oh, I've cried on my birthday because, you know, I was expecting it to be this big party, and then it didn't really live up to what they thought it would be. So I feel like there's such a pressure that birthdays have to be this big event where 100 people have to come to your event. And I genuinely just feel like it can be, you know, you go out for a meal and you come home, you know, with a close family member. And I feel like on my 18th birthday, a lot of people were surprised when I just went out with my aunt. And a lot of people were like, why didn't you just have a big party? And I was like, it doesn't, you know, there's such a society kind of sets a standard that it has to be a big thing.
Yeah.
and I don't feel like it has to be.
Yeah. So having kind of a birthday is worth celebrating, but then it can become too much pressure, and really you should be celebrating it for you rather than for other people. Yeah, it becomes like, so this is kind of the thing of festivals and celebrations getting taken over by the things that they're not meant to be for. Over here, I didn't see which hand went up first.
Okay, so I come from a family. We like used to celebrate like not only birthdays but also a names day, which is another, I mean, Eastern European tradition. So every day had like a four names. For instance, today name day are for Kadri, Kate, Catherine, and Trine. Any Catherines here?
Happy Names Day, Catherine.
And yeah, and it was especially kind of the more celebrations that are there on your calendar, the more the happier you are. I think.
Yeah, well, it seems we're all trying to find different reasons to be able to celebrate the day you're born, the name, cultural reasons. You had your hand up actually.
It was just a question, actually. Am I right in saying that Jehovah's Witnesses don't celebrate their birthdays? And if they, does anyone? I was just going to ask, and if anyone knew why, because I never knew why. I'm pretty sure they don't, and I never knew why. I understood why. So, because I always used to think like all religions share that they, celebrate their birthday, and there's nothing against that other than Jehovah's Witnesses, as far as I know. If I'm
Does anyone know why Jehovah's Witnesses might not be celebrating? But Margot had her hand up before.
I've got a question. On your birthday, like, do you call your mum and say like cheers?
Thanks, mate.
I've done it a few times, and she's like, what? But
No.
but I think
She's dead.
no, but when she was around, because like I was trying to tell my niece that this is maybe like an no, because I'm every time I can question our like individual, this is a word I'm gonna still say it wrong, but our individual kind of self-centered view of the world. I think it's nice to kind of like break it up and like your birthday. Yeah, it's you were born, you're so fucking amazing. Yeah, well done you. But actually, if it wasn't for people who kind of created you or kind of like had sex, you wouldn't be there. So like maybe think about them on your birthday is my position. Even if they're like really terrible.
Yeah, do we consider the pains of childbirth enough? Do we consider what women have to go through for us all to be here?
Call them up and apologize.
All right, some chitter chatter. We're going to bring it right back down.
I've
to
often
Ian.
sent, when people have babies, and there's a lot of babies in my family, I've often sent the mother a happy birthday card. Because I think that's, because child, happy birthday, child.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about it. But I think it's a shared experience in that sense.
Yeah, what the parents have gone through, the sleep they've lost, the body that's gone.
One day is 365 days in a year. So I mean, come on, one day for yourself.
Yeah, parents deserve a little airtime. Yeah. So anybody else think anyone needs celebrating on birthdays? Do we think about birthdays?
I don't think. Just want to go on the Jehovah's Witness thing. I don't know that much about it, but I have got a neighbour who's a Jehovah's Witness, and when we do the estate party, and we can't call it a Christmas party, we've got to call it a winter festival, because it's something about there's something about not celebrating Christmas as a party. But I don't know. I'll ask her and find out about the birthday thing. But that's not the point I wanted to make. That's just a point of fact. The point I wanted to make is, to me, a birthday is not about me, but it's about actually throwing a party for everyone else. And it's your chance to open up your home or your studio or whatever, so that everyone else can have fun.
Yeah. Well, what does a party mean to you? What does celebration mean? Sometimes it's just a bit of self-time with your auntie for dinner. Sometimes it's opening up your home. Sometimes it's stress. I heard over here. Anyone else got over here? Anyways, the people online, what is a party?
I just checked. I just found out. Just looked online just now. Actually, they don't celebrate birthdays in Jehovah's Witness. So there you go.
Why?
All right.
Mandy, does it say why?
Mandy, the expert.
Oh, hang on, I'll have a look. Hang on. It says.
While you're looking, Louise. Yeah.
Oh, I know. It says because they think that such celebrations displease God. That's what it says here. And that's
apparently God
Wikipedia.
doesn't like birthday celebrations.
Oh, thank you, Randy.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I knew they didn't celebrate it, but I didn't know why. So
Go on, Louise.
displeasing to God, apparently, according to Mandy. So God will be displeased. What were we talking about? Parties.
Parties.
I said stress because I find that whenever only, when it's my birthday, I'm always like, okay, what do I want to do? And like, what do my friends want to do? And who's gonna come? Who's not gonna come? Do they like this? Are they gonna eat that? Can they afford it? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm just thinking of all these different things. And I remember once I was in university and I'm just stressed out, and my flatmate was like, Clarice, it's your day. Whatever you want, I'll do.
Oh.
And I was like, that is so sweet. And that is my kind of new energy. Either it's like, I still obviously care about whether they can afford stuff like that, but I try not to stress too much. Kind of think of it as like, it's my day as much as it is other people's day. So that, or I just chill and go out with like family or something and start on with it anyway. So guys, try not to get too stressed when you're planning your birthday.
Yeah, just to add, like that you are not only for yourself, but there are multiple versions of yourself in other people's minds, and that's where the fun starts. Yeah.
Huh. So you are different people. Are you saying that you're like a different person to different people? So you could be celebrating in different ways with different people?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. No. Huh. Ian's had his hand up.
Yeah. I'm going to play the age card here.
Play it.
Yeah, because my next birthday I'm 64, and why are you clapping?
Because I got carried away with sound effects.
Perhaps I've just got to the stage where I don't give a shit what anybody wants as long as they do it with me.
Yeah.
And as I say, 365 years, days in a year.
That's what
Why
I
not?
was singing about all those years ago.
When I'm 64, I'll get you a t-shirt. But yeah, I mean, it is that you get to a stage where your mates are your mates, they know you, people don't know you, don't really matter, and you celebrate your birthday in the way you want. You know? And I recognise the anguish of younger people because I was young one, and that it's understandable. But you do. I don't want to call it maturing because that sounds it's getting better. But you do understand after a while that it doesn't matter what other people think.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you wear. It doesn't matter where you go as long as you are celebrating something that you think is worth celebrating.
So it sounds like kind of go from stressing to then realizing, but then maybe not necessarily with age, just one stressed out experience has led to understanding that maybe you don't need to be stressing out. Anyone else had stressful experiences around events, had a lesson that they've learned when hosting, changed? Any hosting tips?
Don't overcook it, I guess.
Overcook it. What have you been cooking that you did overcook?
Yeah, get drunk early. I'm the best of chefs. I know Gordon Ramsay, but in terms of hosting a birthday party, I've done that a few times. I mean, I think my last birthday party, I was in a shisha bar, and that went horribly wrong. I mean,
wow.
the guy got the reservation dates all mixed up. We stood in the whole for a couple of hours. So I'm like, fuck this. We just went to a club and we just partied for that.
So don't trust people in charge of reservations.
Yeah, I mean, even though, because with me, like, I like to plan before, like, just because when I plan earlier, it just makes things better.
Plan, so that's a tip. Plan.
They got it up and, but we made the most of it, and all in all, it's an okay day.
Plan, make the most of it, get drunk early. Margot.
Yeah, I really like parties. I mean, it wasn't until I moved into my current place when I have a little bit of room to invite people. And what I really enjoy is, like, obviously there are people that are your friends, they're like the solid crew or whatever. And then now and then you just invite someone new from the outside and they come in. And it's always just so brilliant. It's like refreshing. And, they may sometimes get on with your friends or sometimes they may not get on with your friends. and then they get never invited ever again. But you know, it's just, I think just like humans together in one space is just such a brilliant thing, which online obviously can't replicate. But I really, really miss it, just for that fact that it's like this kind of like wild card. You know, people can react in such different ways to different things, and just like sharing a space together and just like opening up to like possibility where there's a lot of different personalities in the room. You know, the different levels of how much people have drunk or whatever, did that other things, you know, and I kind of, that adds to the mix. But I think that's really, really exciting. I'm really excited about people being in the space together.
The beauty of hosting, I think you've just described. You're just all the fireworks of all the different things that go off when you're hosting or when loads of people are in a room. The beauty of having a party. Is there the bad side of the beauty? What's the opposite of beauty?
I'm recalling, I think one of the greatest parties that I hosted. It was not a birthday, it was a no birthday. It was a happy no birthday, which pretty much included everyone. I'm not sure if perhaps even Mikey was there. It was down at Old Street. I lived right by the roundabout.
If I was there, it wasn't my birthday that day.
It was your no birthday. It was a happy no birthday, and at some point, everybody sang together "Happy No Birthday" to us.
I love that.
To us,
Hosting a communal celebration.
No, really, everybody had the spark in their eyes that they were, you know, in their no birthday.
Yeah, I want to hear why it was such a good party.
I think everybody was just happy to celebrate their own selves.
Nobody had a party. Nobody had a birthday.
Nobody had a birthday on that day.
It was something that 364 out of 365 people had in common.
And what was the lesson from the party? What made it a good party to recommend to a friend?
Oh, let's have some more.
Have more and celebrate for no reason. Don't stress.
I mean, you can sing. I mean, perhaps Mikey can sing his Jehovah the Witness neighbor, you know, and happy no birthday to you.
Happy no Christmas.
And he might accept that. Yeah.
That's a good point, actually.
Can they have a birthday fund?
She might think I'm taking the piss a little bit, but she might. But there we go. But I think I'd rather go for happy no Christmas than happy no birthday, because that's the thing that I know about.
Feels a bit more targeted.
Happy. And it's more seasonal. Yeah, but so is happy no birthday can be the same.
I can see that. Lunacy, but it's not dark.
About the no birthday thing, I just remember that there is this song in the Alice in the Wonderland that
that's what it came
Do you know the song? Can you sing it?
So you took a lesson and a celebration from. Oh, sorry, go on.
Yeah, but my point was like, I feel like after watching this movie or reading the book, I feel like every child wanted to have on birthday every day, or like no birthday.
So it happened.
Yeah, so happy on birthday to everyone today.
So can we take any celebrations for any other children's books, lessons that we should be taking forward in our daily life? Got Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. We've got.
I like to live by the ethos that every day is your birthday.
Every day is your birthday.
Because I feel like we allocate one day a year that, you know, you're meant to have a special time or time to yourself, or, you know, I'll allocate my birthday to really take care of myself, or go out with my friends, or have this really special moment. But why? I just feel like why can't that be the norm? Why can't that be every day where you're taking care of yourself, and you don't have to have a fun time only on your birthday, is my ethos.
I don't have to have a fun time on your ethos. Love that. Don't have to have a fun time on your ethos. Don't have to have a fun time. Great point. I'm not going to try and say. Yes,
I kind of understand that, and you're probably right. But it strikes me that we have things like Mother's Day and Father's Day, where people kind of, you know, you should celebrate your parents all the time. Let's face it. But we have special days to do that, where you make a point of doing that. you could even broaden that out to International Women's Day or International. There was a Men's Day the other day. God knows what that was about.
There is an International Men's Day. Does anybody know why there's an International Men's Day? Anybody know why we celebrate International Men's Day?
Are they making it like a mental health day?
Isn't it?
I believe so.
As far as I know, because we quite often until I think is there a point there from you, Carl, over there? Yeah. Oh yeah, there was a point from Carl. Let's get Carl's point first.
Sorry, I'm not really sure how to check that.
You just need to unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. Carl, come in.
Okay, now yes. One of you just reminded me of something. Many years ago, about maybe 40 years ago, there was a program in Argentina, in Argentinian television, saying, and the name of the program was "Every Day is Christmas," because basically the idea was we have such good feelings and nice thoughts about the world and how we want to help the world, and they only come on during Christmas. So somebody said, well, why not every day of the year, not just Christmas?
Yeah.
Why not celebrate every day of the year, not just Christmas? And that was a festival.
No, the idea was that all these good thoughts and good intentions shouldn't last only for Christmas. They should continue throughout the year.
Yes. See, there's so many people agree
Yes.
with what we've been saying.
Yeah, agreed.
I'm sure
Oh, sorry.
if
Sorry,
every
Mandy.
day was celebrated like Christmas, somebody would come up with a day where you could all go out and be rotten to each other just to break the monotony of being nice to each other.
So if we were nice all the time,
International Boot Day, International Day, where everyone can be to each other. Everyone can. Everyone can be a asshole
that's
to
kind
each
of the
other.
point. That if we're happy all the time, you need the balance in order to feel happy. You need the lows for the highs.
Just all take drugs and be happy all the time.
Here at Talkaoke.
Reality is not like that.
I have to say, I really like the idea of International Arseholes Day. Yeah, I know Mandy's got a point. Sorry, Mandy.
Sorry, Mandy.
Right, me, sorry. Actually, I didn't have a particular point. I was just sort of laughing with what the other guy was saying. But I mean, I think International Arseholes Day. I mean, do you know what? I mean, that happens all the time anyway. People being arseholes. So I don't know if you need a day for it. But certainly the idea of giving and helping other people and stuff like that, which is associated with Christmas, certainly that can kind of be more than on one day, yeah. But I don't think we need a special day to be horrible.
Maybe enough.
Anyway, yeah.
Yes.
I'd just like to quickly add, in terms of International Arsehole Day, I don't know if anyone, I mean, I'm a great fan of the show Red Dwarf. I don't know if anyone has heard about the show.
You want to describe it?
Basically, it's this cat, a droid, a human being, and a hologram, and they're all marooned in space, and it's the best comedy. And one of the characters, Arnold Rimmer, he's basically an arrogant arsehole who's just, oh my days. And there should be a day like him, and I forgot the name. Basically, the actor of Arnold Rimmer.
Red Dwarf.
Yeah, Red Dwarf. Yeah, Chris Barry. He was saying in an interview, basically, the character of Arnold Rimmer, he couldn't find no one on this earth who was an arrogant pushover like said person. So I think there should be a day to any arrogant arsehole that you find. International Rimmer Day. Yeah, that's it.
Yes, Margaret. I would just like to point out it's 9 minutes past 9, which is some kind of magical hour, but we were supposed to go till 9. Yeah, so yeah, so this is an opportunity to do maybe like for 9:30 or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, good. Yeah, okay, well, let's go till 9:30, in which case, hold your final thoughts, don't give us any.
Well, think about it a little bit because it will come up soon. You'll be, it'll be we need 10 minutes of final thoughts. We've only got 10 minutes of non-final thoughts.
Okay, so non-final thoughts chat now.
Well, there's this thing that I heard on Talkaoke recently. It's about the kind of the shadow side, the dark side that people have got, that everyone has to acknowledge their dark side, their evil side, their selfish side. And maybe the International Arseholes Day could actually help us, because we're not just all nice all the time. We can, in order to sort of be better people, we have to also acknowledge all the bad things that we are too.
Mikey, shut up.
What would be the celebration part?
I think this sort of celebrations happen every year somewhere in Europe, like where they kind of wear like scary masks. Where is that, in Austria or in Germany? Somewhere in Germany, definitely they kind of wear kind of these ugly masks, and that's just kind of these.
What, Halloween?
No. It's separate celebration. It's kind of more traditional, sort of actually meant to kind of yeah.
Only one day a year.
Like I think it's a couple of nights, so it's like it's a few days.
So how do we get highlights?
Yes, it is.
What was she going to say?
And what is your method then to like understand about like the negative side of yourself and love? What is your method for understanding negative things that you might do and kind of moving forward with that and developing?
I can't hear you properly.
Hi. What are your methods for being able to kind of deal with any negative kind of behavior that you might do if you're in a bad mood? Like, how do you accept that, move on? How do you grow as a person? Yeah, Margot.
I don't have a solution to that, but this thing, right, where everyone's like, oh no, of course you have your right to say that, I respect your opinion, but among your friends, you just go, oh, fucking ass. You just really let it go.
Yeah.
But obviously it just gets really super embarrassing if it comes out, if it's like, if somebody films you on social media, puts on social media or something, if you're a public person. But I think the point there is that we all need that kind of like decompression, and it's fine to be both. We don't, I think there have to be areas of life where you should be able just to kind of let go and just like swear at people, like point out the things they don't like about them, how they look, just like really fucking tarnish them, so then you can wake up in the morning and be like, oh, I love everyone, or just like, I'm really understanding. Yeah, but I think it's important to like lean into this thing which is socially unacceptable, and I think some stand-up comedians, they do that. That's why we like them.
So you're saying lean into being negative sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, just lean into being horrible to people, like on purpose, but not to their faces.
So you're advocating for being two-faced.
Yeah, basically, because but we don't have to like even put it on, because I propose that we already are, because among the people that you feel, who are your friends, your family, people they can kind of open up to. You can say like, I don't know, this person, like, yeah, my work colleague, really, really nice, but fucking asshole. You can say that to them. You wouldn't say that to your colleague into their face.
Yeah.
And they could be really nice and an asshole at the same time. That's beautiful.
So really accepting the human side of us, and just like just like let it out with no consequences whatsoever. Yes, Ian.
I mean, there are times when you meet people that need to be told exactly what they are, and I'm talking about fascists, I'm talking about racists, I'm talking about, having worked on a building site, as I mentioned earlier, misogyny, where it literally does have to be called out, and you do have to say to somebody, you're being a complete arse.
I'd say that to somebody today.
Yeah. Agreed.
To someone today.
No. But yes, it's necessary, because if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem.
So was there a point over here?
Okay, so I feel like we're almost conditioned by society just to be, nice at every point in life. And I feel like shows, I don't know if you've ever watched, any of you have ever watched You, or that, you know, the with Joe Goban, what it is, but you know,
Just describe it
theatre.
for people in the
So
room.
it is a show about a sociopath, and you know, he is a serial killer, but if you are watching the show, you almost find yourself not rooting for him, but you kind of live vicariously through him. And I feel like in shows like that, and books, and when you go to see a theatre show, you almost see yourself rooting for the villain, just because you're bound by society, you're bound by real life, and you at work, for example, I have to be very, I have to be somebody else, and I have to, you know, safely say thank you, be nice all the time. And you know, when you're in that moment, when you're watching a theatre, and you can kind of live
Are you
through
working
their
in retail?
experience. I work in hospitality, so
completely customer facing.
yeah, I'm like, you're an amazing person.
So
even-
you kind of, we're saying that a lot of the time we're having to have our different, you know, this is from another Talkaoke last month, like we were talking about our different sides of ourselves that we take to work and that we take home, and that you therefore then have to have an outlet for these emotions. And do we think, talking about the metaverse previously, and kind of lots of people's behavior online can be really negative, and in this way that you're rooting for, do we think that that's possibly a reason? Yeah.
I just wanted to add to a point you said, that actually a few instances when I've been called out and somebody has said to me, God, that was rude, or you've been a bitch. Actually, in those situations, I found it useful, because I think that sometimes you need to be called out. And I think a lot of people are scared to say something because they don't want to be perceived to be, because they have to back it up, right? You say, oh, you're being a bitch because I guess you have to have that relationship. But I wanted to add, sometimes actually you should be able to handle somebody saying to you, you're out of order.
Yeah.
You know, and being able to take that on. And relationships I've had, just general relationships, wherever it is, but mostly work. It's helped me change.
Yeah.
And I think there's power in honesty, and sometimes we're not as honest as we should be. And I think it's what kind of Zara was saying.
I was going to say, has that made you more cautious about what you say, or just more confident?
I think it's a bit of both, and it's about understanding somebody else's response to it, or somebody else's feelings to it. I don't always say that I'm going to change, but it's about understanding and doing it in a different way. But it's awareness. If you're not aware, you don't know. But I just think there is power in saying the truth. And I think sometimes we're so afraid to say what we really think. It's about how you deliver it. You can't go, oh God, you're a bitch. It's just about saying.
Sometimes you have to.
Sometimes you have to. People have said it to me, and I've taken it on.
And is it every situation that kind of being confrontational will be useful, or are there some situations where it may not be? Like,
I think
everyone going to respond like that.
I think it's a skill you build. I think it's something you build over time. I think it's a little bit what Mikey was saying about your shadow self, and it kind of pops up. And I think sometimes you need somebody to go, oh, there's a bit of, I guess there's so many nuances to it. It's complex.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to add to that, actually, just you calling out people. Sometimes it's helpful for someone to call me out. And
so I've noticed that I missed you over here. But yeah, being able to call people out is useful for yourself and for others.
So yeah, I think people should embrace their kind of, and understand that they can be dangerous, and then that they can be kind of damaging to others, and basically, and in some situations it can be useful, as described. Yeah, so it's all about kind of your being aware of your own sort of how do you say this
impacts. You're like
you're like well-balanced person would be like, it doesn't mean that you're like completely positive person, but you also are aware of your shadow.
So we should be more aware that we can hurt people. I think we constantly think maybe we're doing the right thing, so being called out on it, and being aware that we have impact on others. Ian.
I mean, earlier when I said to Mikey, shut up, I know Mikey quite a little while now, a couple of years, whatever, and I know that he's got the kind of personality would take that as a joke, even though I did want him to shut up. But however, if somebody was new here tonight and maybe a little bit nervous, I would never say shut up. Yeah, because I would want to nurture their opinion and that's a nice guy.
So to be able to read and understand others, and like, that's the core of how we interact. We have 10 minutes left, so think about your final thoughts. Yes, Margot.
Well, that's what we've got time for. No, but like, why do you see? Okay, just because somebody's not confident speaking, like, what, like, why wouldn't they understand that you're making a joke?
Because some people are. The first time I came here, I was nervous, and I might have taken it the wrong way and been a bit kind of.
Why? Why would you have taken it the wrong way? Because
you're all so rotten, and I hate you all.
That is also correct, but. Yeah, no, it's funny because, like, I think we just because what I'm driving at, I think it's just as human beings, I think we're just like really suspicious of other people, that they are out there to like trip us up. So if someone says like in jest, oh, you know, shut up, like, oh my god, oh no, you know, we just take it to heart, I think, because we just don't trust other people. That's not blame on the people who are a bit more shy and who are, you know, who wouldn't like raise to that. But I think just as society. Yeah, it's all really nice if we all agree with each other, but the minute you disagree with someone, or if something's like a little bit not sure, it's a fight.
Is it social practices though? Is it kind of certain cultures that might seem rude and other cultures it may not?
Well, practice, isn't it? That's the word. If you're not doing it, then you're going to get in trouble in the conversation.
Yeah, be careful with who you joke with. Right, I think we're on to hand up over here.
I just wanted to add that years ago I used to run a parenting program, and one of the mums said, please don't use sarcasm because I find it's a form of abuse, which was quite taken aback. I said, you've met, I mean, the two facilitators, myself and my colleague, probably two of the most sarcastic people you can get. But actually, for her to say that, I thought it didn't even occur to me. So a bit like what Margot was saying, like if you say shut up to somebody, I wouldn't. But I think actually when she said that to me, it stuck with me because I thought it's something to be aware of, because not everybody, she'd been abused using sarcasm from an ex-partner who used it to have digs, and she felt that she'd never, like, I guess gaslighting, quite a trendy term, I guess. But yeah, no, I just thought I'd add that.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, thank you. You make very good points. I can't seem to summarize. Yeah, Ian, and then we're doing our final point. No, okay, so we're going to do our final thoughts, and we'll start, as you just spoke, we'll start on this side with Mikey.
I don't like being the first. I like to be the last of the final thoughts. But anyway,
it's asshole day.
No, but I want to big up on James's point about practice and about, you know, from doing Talkaoke for nearly 25 years. 25 years. Next in January, they'll be there for the party. Everyone's invited. It is a birthday party as opposed to an unbirthday party. Anyway, I'll come to the point, which is that, yeah, practice and actually just having those conversations, you learn how to do it in a nicer way where you actually get to the point and you don't accidentally offend people. I don't really think people want to hurt each other. But actually, the more that you talk to each other, the more that you learn how to say the things in a tactful way, where you know, and using tact, you can tell people that they're ugly. They can tell them to shut up, you can tell them they're ugly and they smell and they've got no sense of style, or you don't agree with them, whatever, but do it in a tactful way.
Be tactful.
So that's my final.
Thank you. Next round.
Yeah, I think this this session has been really great success. And it's been a long time since it's been inside, so that's a great thing about this. And yeah, that's my final thought.
Amazing, great to be inside.
My final thought is I hope everyone has a lovely evening.
Have a lovely evening. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting to observe how we started off talking about Thanksgiving and celebrations, and then sort of rounded off the conversation with, what is the point of parties? Why are we forced to celebrate Christmas? Should we have birthdays, Mother's and Father's Day? And should we actually create a day to not celebrate, but to actually let all the bad stuff out and almost like a purge, or have our sort of negative sides come out to play? You know, and we've also contrasted like individualistic arguments, and equally a lot of people going for the collectivist side. So it's actually, yeah, super interesting, and how we can actually bring that all into the metaverse.
She did it. She did it. Every word said this evening. Margot.
I just want to say I really, really, really loved tonight, and I really enjoy the fact that some of us came here a little bit earlier, got a bit of kind of, you know, into spirit of setting up a talking table, just like doing it, you know, next level up. But I also just want to invite everyone to my show this Saturday and Sunday at 8 p.m. at Rich Mix, and it's going to be about Polish builders and the world. So please come.
Yeah. No one is that gone? Yeah. Thought for the day.
I'm just getting started and now we're going. What's this? Yeah, no, final thoughts or first thoughts. No idea. I wonder what, I mean, I'm overwhelmed with all of you human beings around and those online as well. Because I've become a bit of a hermit. So I'm not really communicating and relating very much with people, but I've been communicating with other beings. And I'm wondering if we actually can damage and harm others unconsciously. It's a pigeon moment, yes. I think I killed my pigeon this week. And, you know, I've been feeding it, and I think I've been overfeeding it, and I'm just really, that's my dark side, but without knowing. And I guess I gotta wake up and maybe not overfeed myself either. And it's, yeah. Any pigeon experts in the house?
Did it explode from too much eating?
I haven't seen it explode. It just one day he was there and then he wasn't. His name is Opal, and his partners are still around. And yeah, that's that.
Don't overfeed yourself and others. Great.
Yeah, that's a bottom
comment
line
for the day.
Well, I'm sad I missed out on the metaverse conversation. That would be more my thing. Perhaps we'll pick it up at the birthday party
for the day. Sorry, say that again. Sorry.
I said perhaps we'll pick it up at the birthday party, the metaverse thing.
The metaverse, like that, like the metaverse. Yeah. Ian.
Keep it short, yeah.
I'd just like to say that if this was my birthday party, I'd be very happy.
Aww.
And in fact, it's my birthday on the 10th of December, which I'll be celebrating at the Tommy Flowers. So you're all more than welcome to pop in, and we can continue this conversation. And I'd like to say, as somebody who's not a great communicator, she communicated really well. So yeah, it's great to see everyone here, and yeah, fight the power.
Amazing, fabulous. Yeah, thought for the day. I mean, thought and closing. Any thoughts?
For my final thought is live life by your own terms, and don't be afraid of failure. If you do fail, there's always tomorrow. You can try again, try again, try again. And as Ian said, fight the power.
Yeah, amazing. Final thought?
Just to say that I enjoyed tonight, and yeah, that's it really.
What to say? Oh fuck, I forgot what I was gonna say. No, it's been a bewildering experience. I mean, I have done this a couple years back, the whole hosting thing, but can't lie, I made a dog's dinner of it. I ballsed it up. Nah. But if we are talking about, last time, if you are talking about birthdays, mine is on the 18th of February, 4 days after Valentine's. So I'm always taking, else. But no, other than that, live life as is, fight the power, and long live Spurs. Hopefully you win a cup.
Yeah, final thoughts. My final thoughts are: you only live once. Live life. Have fun.
Yeah.
Have a nice life.
That's every day.
I just wanted to say I've really enjoyed tonight. I actually came because I wanted to drag Zara here. She's my niece. And I just wanted to give her an opportunity to meet different types of people. And she's only 18. And I think it's been a great opportunity even for me just to meet other people, hear people's views about things, and not do it in a work environment where you get told off for it. So it's nice. I feel free tonight, basically. So yeah, I'm glad I came.
Fabulous. Amazing. Oh, Laura.
So my final thought. Gee. Hiya. My final thought is that what we said earlier, that we should celebrate like every day is Christmas and every day is our birthday, as just to be better people every day and just share happiness. I know Mikey is the National Assholes Day, but I still think best wishes.
Amazing, fabulous. Again, and now we're going to move online for final thoughts. David?
Yes, I'd like to thank you for being on Zoom because I don't have to get the bus home. I came physically a couple of times to down south. But anyway, I'm very pleased to be on Zoom and I'm well done for all this hard work. Thank you.
Amazing, fabulous. Carl? Final thought?
Carl. Oh, it's me. I beg your pardon. I was just listening to you. I'm so into listening to you that I forgot that I was here. Thank you for being there. It's been wonderful.
And last but not least, Mandy.
Well, I love all the backdrops, right? I love all this sort of scenery I'm seeing around me. It's wonderful. Lovely to, listen to everybody's opinions about things. International Arseholes Day, I'm sorry, I'm going to hide in the house, so I wouldn't go out, But yeah, I think I like a non-birthday celebration. That's a good idea. Go for that. Thanks everybody for turning up. I'm really glad to have turned up myself. All right, that's enough from me.
Fabulous. Thanks for coming, everybody.
So just final thing is thank you so much everybody for coming, and a big round of applause to Laura on camera and for preparing a whole evening tonight. Thank you, Laura. Thank you to Lucy in the middle. Big hand for Lucy. Massive one for Zach in the middle. First time. God. And who else was in the middle? Mikey. And one for Mikey as well. And a big round of applause to all of you and our team, Louise, Gonzo, and Bella, and Rick, who is around the back, but he is definitely there. And give yourself. And yeah, see you next year, because that's the rules. That's it. And next year is 25 years since Talkaoke started, so it's a big one. Great. Oh, thanks everyone. No, it's a catch-up. It's a glasses, and I'm gonna use that. I bought it from the guy and he's like, no, and I literally, I bought it from the guy.